pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I know we have a public hearing scheduled for tonight to start at 6:30, but if we could just take a moment and think about the folks in Texas, what an absolute tragedy. So our thoughts and prayers go to those folks who passed and who are still missing, and the first responders assisting. Thank you. So I need a motion and a second to open the public hearing to remove fluoride from the village drinking water.
Motion to open.
Motion by trustee Gargiulo, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Carroll, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, so, just a little quick information. This is the first public hearing for tonight. We're definitely going to keep it open for at least 2 meetings. I would think maybe by September. September's meeting will hopefully be at some kind of conclusion, one way or the other. As we continue to move through it, we're going to have more information available either on the website or at Village Hall, hard copies. We're going to try to talk to the newspaper and see if we can get a little article to put in there. We're going to reach out to at least one of the local dentists to get some feedback from them. So this is going to be continuing, and folks who talk tonight, we'll make sure we have your information somehow, and we can call you too if when the information is available at Village Hall. So 3 minutes at least. If you need another minute, that's fine too. So if anyone would like to speak on the first public hearing, please come up to the mic, just name and address.
Okay, is this on? Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
All right. My name is Kathy Nazzo. I live at 6 School Lane in Highland Falls. And I am here about this idea of taking fluoride out of our water supply. I was very distressed when I read the thing in the paper. First and foremost, it's very prejudicial, the way it is written. It makes us sound like we're all drinking fertilizer and we're all going to get sick. Fluoride has been in the water supply since 1945. And as recently as May 2024, the CDC called it one of the greatest accomplishments in public health. As those of us who didn't start out with fluoride know, you get a whole lot of cavities if you don't use it. The amounts of fluoride that are in our water supply are even below federal standards, as I understand them. So I do not see the point in taking it out, which leads me to my second point, that I see this as part and parcel of what's happening in our nation around our public health, whether it's vaccines or now fluoride or even climate change. I really am asking you not to go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories and unsubstantiated misinformation. The sources that you have listed here are things like Wikipedia and other things that I had a hard time even finding. So our public health should be centered on objectivity, science, expertise, and experience. And although these days, I feel like our country has lost its way when it comes to expertise and experience, and that is no longer a qualification for being in office, I am very, very concerned. And that is why I'm here to say so. Now, I don't know what motivates all of you to have had this discussion or where it came from, but I really am asking you to do your homework. And this person from the Orange County Environmental Agency, I couldn't find him either online. If you're really thinking of doing this, I want to hear from those people. I want to hear from people who are experts. I want to hear from people who are scientists, who are doctors, not somebody who fell into a conspiracy theory rabbit hole. We need to really move away from that and to focus on facts, science, and objectivity. Just to randomly take fluoride out of the water supply, based on what I've read here, is really not, it's not a good thing. It's not. And one more thing, and then I'll stop. Having fluoride in the water supply makes it good for everybody. If you take it out and people's oral health is compromised, then a lot of people are going to be spending a lot of money on their oral health, on their teeth. And if you're poor and you don't have insurance, who's going to pay for that? At least with a small amount of fluoride, everybody gets, the whole community gets the benefit. We do it for each other. Same thing with vaccines, which is another thing that's under terrible attack right now. I don't want to see that happen here. I really don't. I really like Highland Falls. I've been here 28 years. It's a great little community, and I really hate to see this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the folks who just came in, we started the public hearing on the removal of fluoride.
Jack Aaron, Village resident. I want to go back to when I was in the 7th grade, 1955.
Could you speak up, please?
I want to go back to when I was in the 7th grade, 1955, 1956. I lived on an extremely small Army post, Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania, which is right adjacent to the town or city of Carlisle, Pennsylvania. The post was so small that they didn't even have a post school. We were sent bused into the town. I went to the Catholic school where the 7th and 8th grades were combined, and other kids went to the public school. In my class, in my room, there were 3 categories of kids: the post kids, the town kids, and the kids from the surrounding area, which was mostly farmland. Now, they undoubtedly were on wells with very low levels of natural fluoride. I saw kids in my classroom, 7th, 8th graders, not only had bad teeth, they had rotten teeth. The teeth were rotten out of their mouths. It was so bad. There is good reason that our bodies need some fluoride, whether it comes naturally or in the water supply. Some countries put fluoride in the milk. Some countries put fluoride in salt. But our bodies need salt fluoride, and there's a safe level, there's an unsafe low level, and there are unsafe, obviously, high levels. So who's going to be affected if we take it out of our water? Well, as AOG keeps telling us, we have a large, significant population of people, young children in our elementary school and middle schools who are English as a second language, low income, perhaps minorities. Those are the people who are going to suffer the most. Those kids, in 4 years, they'll be going to preschool with no fluoride. In 8 years, they'll be coming up, 3rd grade? In 12 years, they'll be in 7th grade, like I was that year. Do you really want to do this to those children? I don't think so. Next, there are safe levels. I understand that EPA has set a level, and we set ours at half of that, like as do most communities in the country. What is the natural level of fluoride in our water? Does our water department know? How often do they monitor it? Every month, I hope. And do they adjust it as the seasons pass? Those are all valid questions worth asking. But my point is, even if you want to lower the rate a little bit, that would be fine, but you've got to have something to protect all of these children. And another issue I would raise is AOG has spent a lot of money buying up properties and trying to get people to move to Highland Falls and all these apartments and townhouses that they want to build. Are people going to want to move to Highland Falls if we don't have fluoride in our water? Probably not. That's going to hurt the AOG business. Post is gonna keep on fluoridating the water, and they're talking about that, and people may not wanna live here. What about the town? We provide fluoridated water to them. Do they want fluoride taken out of the water for their residents who have municipal water? Again, I don't think so. We've got to do the right thing for everybody. And then I would add the comment that using Wikipedia as a source is beyond belief. Everybody who has any internet savvy knows that things on Wikipedia you take with a grain of salt. And that piece in the paper was clearly I don't want to say hit piece, but it kind of was. It was a biased, one-dimensional look at the issue. So again, get good information. It is an unimaginably successful program putting fluoride in the water since 1940s. Why do we want to go down this rabbit hole? Thank you very much for listening.
Hello, everybody. Olga Anderson, Under York Park. Well, my friends have said things a lot better than I probably will. I totally agree with Kathy's position. I do want to open my question with, why are we doing this? Why has this come up? I mean, is there a reason why the village board is now entertaining this question? Has there been any evidence that we're having a detrimental effect on our population? Why are we going there? It does reek of conspiracy theories, and I agree with Kathy, we should not be going down that road. It's a slippery slope. It compromises our independence. It compromises our ability to think and act for ourselves. Let's just do that. Let's think and act for ourselves. And I also agree that fact sheet is anything but a fact sheet. The village board should be embarrassed to have put out that kind of a document. It is nothing short of one-sided propaganda, a fact sheet for the population at large to be able to make decisions should have both sides. There should be pros, there should be cons, there's plenty of both, and that's what we should be debating, the pros and the cons, not rubber stamping what appears to have been already a predetermined decision. Why else put out that kind of a fact sheet? Building on Jack's comments, I do want to mention that just last week there was an article in the New York Times about a city in Canada, Calgary, which made a decision to remove its fluoride years ago, and because of the evidence of the increased dental caries in their children, they are putting it back, and they are putting it back at substantial cost to rejiggering their water treatment plant. So those are facts, and those are things that the board, it behooves the board to consider, both sides. Thank you.
I'm going to speak in favor of keeping fluoride in the system. I also don't understand why it's an issue right now unless it was an issue that was part of the platform of Highland Falls First Party, which the majority of the board belongs to, and it should have been in the campaign, should have been discussed in the campaign, and it wasn't. Now, I've taken a tour of the water plant when it was available. Yes, it's the way they add it is antiquated. It's not the best system for adding fluoride to our water, but I would like to see the village invest in having a better way of adding fluoride to the water. We don't need, that's what we need. We don't need new flags for all the telephone poles in town. Maybe we need a new website, yes. fine. Maybe we need improvements to the village hall. But we also need some fiscal responsibility in taking care of what needs to be taken care of, the infrastructure of the water department. Our water department is a very valuable thing, along with our sewer department, and we're making money off them from the town.
I'm not gonna interrupt you, but I don't know that that's a fair statement.
Okay. I hope you don't vote tonight. I hope there's more discussion. I don't think the community is aware of this enough. And I look forward to speaking more in the future about it. I know people were speaking bad about the Wikipedia, but yeah, I went there just before I came here. And it says dental costs are the fourth most expensive healthcare cost in the United States. And, you know, you would just, taking fluoride out would just be adding to everyone's healthcare costs.
Jim Leo, 36 Webb Lane, Highland Falls. My question primarily, I'd like to see fluoride stay in the water. My question primarily is, I believe it was on News 12. They indicated there's a lot of damage to our infrastructure, our water plant infrastructure from fluoride. And fluoride apparently is acidic, so I can imagine that's the case. But personally, do you think this fluoride has also affected our water meters, where there's been a lot of trouble with water meters in the village? Could it go that far? I don't know if you have answers to these questions, but that's infrastructure. I'm concerned about infrastructure in our water system, that's all. But I like fluoride in the system.
I don't want to interrupt, so I'm making notes, so at the end I'll just say a few things. But it's a public hearing, it's important that the board hears from the public. Now, Mr. George.
Jim Tito, 95 Mount Avenue. I agree with this young lady. Science, professionals, study, information, good information. That's what we should be basing the decision on. I'm not pro or con on fluoride. I would just want to make one observation that probably 50% of the homes in New York State and in the country have well water, so there is no fluoride in the water. So, and Jimmy Ramos would probably know that better than I. So that should be part of this.
I really appreciate you looking into this. Rockwell's
You're a tall guy, so
much better.
there you go.
This is a real binary argument in the country right now. And I agree with people who are talking about really putting out a fact sheet and doing a critical thought analysis of this. The Europeans have withdrawn fluoride from their water supply, most of them, say 75% of European countries, the EU. And states are starting to do it here. There's some reason for that, but I think the public really needs to have an informed perspective on it. The research that is coming out is there's some alternatives to fluoride, to hydroxyapatite. That's a natural part of our bone development that doesn't brutalize the teeth. Fluoride initially stops decay, but then later on, as we grow and mature, it makes our teeth brittle and it's more damaging than it is helpful. All the studies about its impact on the endocrine system and the IQ of young people, it's a metal that's absorbed. And a lot of the studies that were beneficial about fluoride were done before we were having fluoride on toothpaste. So when I started to have cavities several years ago, my dentist prescribed a toothpaste that was only available by prescription because it had so much fluoride in it. And then when I did the studies on fluoride, I stopped using it, started doing toothpaste that just had a modest amount of fluoride in it over the counter. So I think some of these things are, they're legitimate concerns of people, legitimate concerns if we're going to have children that get more cavities and it's expensive. I know I just spent $50,000 on my teeth. So it's something that is a lifetime issue, and particularly as you investigator. But I think it would be helpful if the board, based on the reason you brought it up, and if nothing else, maybe you can do to stop the fluoride, or whatever the cost of savings is for our water supply, offer fluoride and toothpaste at the town hall for free for people who can't afford it, want to have fluoride in there. And then it's an election that you can make a free choice rather than be imposed on them by public meeting.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Will you speak again?
Sure, Jack, go ahead.
Um,
Don't go as far back as 1955.
I know, but you know, I like to go back.
I know.
Um,
Cut it off at
There
80.
it says that there was a reply from Orange County, but we haven't seen that, so you should.
I'm gonna talk.
The other thing is fluoride is natural in well water all over. In some areas have, naturally, they have low levels of fluoride, and that's the issue. Some areas have high fluoride, and that's a problem. The body needs fluoride, not only for the teeth, but for the bone. And topical fluoride, which you get in toothpaste, is just that on the surface. Children especially need fluoride to integrate it into the teeth as they're developing. So this is a very important thing. Remember, fluoride is in the same category on the periodic table as iodine and as chlorine. Your body needs iodine. We have iodine salt to prevent iodine deficiencies. We have to have fluoride because the body needs it, and many communities don't have enough. If we have too much, that's not a problem. Apparently we don't. So do the right thing with the kids.
Any other public comments on this particular public hearing item? Okay, I'm just going to say a couple quick things. So number one, the sheet that went out had the Village of Highland Falls on it, and it was not an approved comment from the board or myself. It just ended up on the letterhead. Now that's an easy, hold on a second, that's an easy way out. And when I saw it, and then it went on social media, I said, we're just gonna take our lumps because that's what happens when you make a mistake. So I don't really wanna put anything out that's gonna show either way on which way you could look at this. Because for every 10 studies that you can say, I mean, I did some homework over this weekend, and for every 10 studies that you can find that say it's good to be in a water supply, you can find 10 that say it's not. And I'm trying, in fact, I sent another one I got today to the entire board. And I said, listen, look at this presentation from the SCBWA, the State College Bureau of Water Authority. It was a report done in 22. I said, just try to look at the data and not the subjective comments. Because, you know, this is not anything to do, and I understand that, you know, you can go down that rabbit hole. This has nothing to do with vaccines. I understand that those are important. We're not discussing vaccines. This is not a Washington, D.C. issue. We are not the only community to look at this. The most closest one to us is the Village of Walden did away with it a few years ago. This is not an agenda item for a campaign issue. Like, it came up because there are some people in the community that had concerns about it. So what are we doing? We're bringing it out to the public. We're doing the right thing. We're going to have an open dialogue about it. It's not a hidden thing. If we were going to hide it, we would just put it on an agenda. None of you would even been here. It's not the way to do things. Not the way I'm going to do things. So the info sheet is going to be addressed. And we have a process now when we put stuff out on behalf of the Village of Highland Falls, whether it's a board member, myself, or anybody. So I got to approve it, and the clerk's got to approve it. So that was my mistake. I'm going to take responsibility. It was my mistake. But I left it because we're gonna take our lumps when you make a mistake. That's number one. Number two, the comment about the campaign thing. Not everything that we're gonna do over the next 4 years, at least while I'm here, was based upon what I did or did not talk about in the campaign. If a public person comes up with something and they feel strongly about it, I think it's important that the board take their dialogue. And then we have a dialogue, and then the community has a dialogue. That's this process. That is the process. There's a lot of information online. Wikipedia is a search engine. Google's a search engine. Yahoo's a search engine. Bing is a search engine. There's another one with a duck on it. I'm not familiar with that one. Supposedly. What is it called?
DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo is a search engine. I am not an expert on which one has the right information. And there are thousands of communities in this state that don't have municipal water. So, as it was commented, I don't know if 50% is accurate. I'm not going to say 50% because I don't know. And I don't want to say that I can find 10 reports that say, don't have it in your system. You get it in 50 other different things. You get it in grapes. You get it in all kinds of food. That's for some of the public to go look at. And you're right. I wish when I called the state of New York and the county of Orange that they gave me a definitive answer which way to go. But they don't. In fact, the state says, we don't even want to touch it. We don't want to do anything. It's up to you guys what you want to do. It becomes a social issue instead of a scientific one. And I hate that. And you're right about the infrastructure. It's eating away at it. It's eating away at it. Now, you want to put another system in? I'm all for that. You want to put a different system in? Wait till you find the price tag on that. It's not all about money, but the same people who tell me to invest in infrastructure are the same people who tell me don't raise the water rates. And I don't make a ton of profit on the water rates. I don't. If you look at the budget, what I bring in has to go out. That's called a balanced budget. So don't be subjective about this. I mean, be objective about this. Don't be subjective. This is not politically motivated. This is not, I woke up one day and my hair was going to the left. This has nothing to do with that. People brought it to my attention, board members' attention. There is a good number of population of people out there that actually wanted to come to the meeting, to have information. But I don't want this to turn into a back and forth situation. I want as much information as we can get. Like I said, I got another one today. I would highly recommend you go online and check our water quality report, 2024. We have to do one by, I don't know if it's by law, but it's definitely by Orange County Board of Health that we have to do a full workup on our water supply. And it has great information. It tells you where our water comes from. It tells you what some of the contaminants are, and the contaminant doesn't necessarily mean a negative thing. It just that's the title for it. But we do have fluoride in the water, and I don't think it's the natural type that you're referring to. Okay, it's not the natural man-made type that is referring to. But I'm not going to say that that's right or wrong, because I'm not a scientist. I'm just telling you what's in the report and how much you drink. Someone said at the beginning of the meeting, you know, if my son or my daughter or I drink 2 gallons of tap water a day, am I getting more than my neighbor who just drinks 2 glasses a day? And then should they know that if they're consuming more, that they're going to get more? And is the level in that person equal to my neighbor? I don't know. Those are good questions. And as we go through this process, which at minimum are going to be 3 months, we're not voting on this tonight. I'm probably looking down the road at maybe coming to a head in September, October. So we're gonna take our time with this. But we're not the only community to do it. There are states that have done it. Walden, which is the closest community to us, have done it. There's a couple in Westchester that have done it. Democrat, Republican, ain't nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Believe me. My kid drinks the water here. It's all he drinks. He doesn't drink anything else but water. And he gets it right from the refrigerator. So it's an important issue for me too. So definitely going to take a look at it. But don't think that we're being subjective here. And I agree that this should not have had the Village of Highland Falls letterhead on it. We're trying to come up with a new type of style of redeveloping the letterhead, and all it should have had were the colors. It shouldn't have had the Village of Highland Falls on it. And I agree with that. And the last thing I want to bring up is that I did contact the 2 big suppliers of toothpaste. I'm not going to name them because I'm just not going to name them. But they're the 2 biggest companies that have been in business probably since 1955 or older. And I reached out to them and I said, hey, would you ever consider donating toothpaste. Because I said, what if the board decides to do this? I would like to be able to give out stuff at Village Hall or Town Hall. And all they did was send a couple of certificates that I ended up just giving out to random people. 2 certificates. One company sent 2 certificates to buy toothpaste. So I just handed it to somebody on the street who I knew had kids, and I said, here, get whatever you want. So, we're looking at everything, is my point. And it's not going to be a rush. That's my comment. I don't know if the board has any other comment on for the process. I'm just talking about the process.
Are we allowed to ask a question?
Absolutely.
Before you make this decision,
Mhm.
will we as a community have the opportunity to talk to people
Mhm.
who are experts, who are scientists, who know this stuff, who are not going to go to Wikipedia or Google, people who know these things and have evaluated studies?
Sure,
I mean, I would like to hear from somebody.
Sure, I said in the interview, and I've said it at the meeting, I believe when we introduced it, I'm gonna reach out to one of the dentists, the licensed dentists in town, one or the other or both, get their input from it, and I'm gonna try to find somebody on the other side to just have a balanced information, right? We need to have balanced information.
Objective.
I would love to have objective. I would love to have objective, but most of the time, most people have an agenda. And I'm trying to make sure we just get the best information we can. So, again, I can find a report for it, I can find a report against it. So I'm sure I can find a scientist for it, I can find one against it. We're gonna have as much information as we possibly can. And then if the board wants to move forward on it, then we will. If not, then we're gonna have to figure out another way to deal with this. That's it.
And one more question.
Sure.
When you get to that point, are you all going to make that decision, or are we going to get to vote on that as a community?
It's not a permissive referendum, so it would probably just be the board voting on
I would like to actually see, to form a committee, an outside unbiased committee, to even go out into Rockland County. Rockland County for 60 years has never had fluoride in their water. I don't actually believe that West Point does put fluoride in their water. I think it is a natural source. And I wouldn't go with a local dentist. I would go with somebody outside of us to get a more, again, an unbiased opinion. I would take it off the board's hands to a degree, so that it is actually a public decision. And when we come and we're really looking at information that wasn't really decided by us. We beat up Wikipedia and things like this. You know what? It was a source of information, whoever it was, and it opened up this conversation. And I'm super excited that so many people actually came out to talk about it. And that's what we're trying to do as a new board, is to open up the conversations and really have a cohesive community where the information's out there and you guys give us what you want. So that's just my opinion of it. I'd love to see it taken off the board's hands to a degree, you know, and information and bringing back information.
it. Okay? Yes, Mr. Coco.
What brought this to the board's attention to consider the need to negate the program that's been in place since approximately the 1950s?
It was brought to my attention by a few residents. It was brought to members of the board from a few residents. So I said that we would at least look into it, have a public hearing, have a dialogue. The public hearing will remain open. And like I had said before you had walked in, I would think at some point, either September or October, we'll probably figure out what we're going to do. It's up to the board. And I do respect the comments from Trustee Gargiulo. But at the end of the day, sometimes when you get elected, you have to make tough decisions. And we're going to look at everything. And there were some comments made tonight, and I'm all about the science about it. I'm all about what we can decipher as we think logical or illogical, but what I'm trying to avoid is that there is some kind of secret agenda or some kind of national whatever. This is Highland Falls. We're talking about Highland Falls. We're not the only community in this state who has removed it from their water supply. We're not the only community in Orange County that has looked into it. So I don't want to say it's common, but I'm just saying it's happened. So that's all we are doing. We are just going through the process. We're not voting on it tonight. we're still collecting, we're gonna hear from as many people as I can get my arms around. So, that's where we're at.
I'd just like to make a short comment. The availability,
Can you do it at the mic, Mr.
Yeah.
Vogel? I'm sorry.
the availability of the fluoride in the water has benefited many families in this community who did not have the financial resources to get the normal, what might be normal for some people, dental protection. How that can be quantified, probably not, but I know my uncle, who was a dentist in this community for many years, supported it at that time. And it might, if you were able to pull from News of the Highlands back at that time to see what the comments were, I'll try to look that up as well.
And
I am concerned also that coming down from the national, in particular from Kennedy Jr., with some of his other clearly harmful actions, is having sworn under oath at his hearing that he was going to do no harm to the vaccine advisors. And then, of course, as we all have seen, he dismissed the entire board of vaccine advisors, doctors, scientists. I think we need to look and be sensitive to that issue that is being politicized. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this last thing, and I made a quick comment about it. I'm sensitive to whatever is in the best interest of this community. That's what I'm sensitive to. I am not gonna get into, the village of Walden, as an example, got rid of the fluoride in their water well before Robert Kennedy was sworn in as the Secretary of Health. So the community in Westchester, I think it's the supervisor or mayor, suspended the use of fluoride in their water supply well before Mr. Kennedy became Secretary of Health. Please, 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 I'm begging, this is not political. It's not. And things that went on in 1955, God bless them, we don't do everything that we did in 1955 that we do in 2025. Some things we should, but a lot of things we don't. Heart surgery isn't even the same as it was in 1955.
I don't think that's a good analogy.
Well,
I
my
understand.
point is that,
Just because it was.
my point is, even laws have changed, Mr. Copal, since 1955. I'll put it in perspective of an attorney. So, I'm not saying, like Mr. Wells had brought up, there may be a better alternative that's not as corrosive to this particular chemical, than this particular chemical. And I'm not a scientist, I'm not a plumber, but that particular product, contaminant, that's the label, I'm not saying it's good or bad, that's just the label that they put on it. That particular contaminant eats away at concrete and steel. All right, now, I'm not saying that it does something different in my body, but I'm just telling you that that's what happened in that room. So,
While the board is examining this important question, I would ask the board to likewise look into what has been in the minds of medical doctors, going back to Dr. Margolis, that the water the village provides to our community comes through the West Point Golf Course. We're talking about concern for possible harmful ingredients, fertilizers, etc. We need to make sure that that water comes by pipeline so it's protected and not picking up all of the harmful things that are on that golf course. It's been too long. We've had many grants. That's one that would benefit everybody in this community. Thank you.
I completely agree, and I know, Mr. Coppold, that you have the ear of some of our federal representatives, as you had so many years on the school board, and I'd highly recommend that everybody in this room reach out to them, because we could use the federal money to pipeline through the golf course. I have no problem with that. I think after it leaves the golf course, we have an ecosystem to worry about, but other than that, I'd love to get it through the golf course pipe. And I highly recommend, as I mentioned numerous times, maybe you missed it because when you came in, get a copy of the water quality report. If you don't want to go online and get it, you can have this one. But it spells out all the contaminants. Again, that's just a list of the things that are in the water. Last thing, go ahead.
I'm sorry, one more thing. When we study this for 3 or 4 months, we should also include a budget that identifies the potential expenditures of ours, taxpayers, over the next 10 years. And if that represents $100 a year, then perhaps we should leave it in. If it represents $2,000 or $3,000 a year, maybe we should reconsider it. And then I just want to ask one more question about this report. Does it clearly identify carcinogens or potential of carcinogens in the water?
Yeah, so the label that they give them is, they label everything as a contaminant. So barium, fluoride, nitrates, selenium, copper, lead, turbidity, total organic carbon removal ratio, total coliform bacteria. So there's a whole thing on here. Gives you a breakdown. Happy to say we're in violation of nothing. I should get that out before we start going cuckoo on that. But there is ranges that they tell you that they should be in, the unit of measurement. It's actually a very good report. I've become extremely familiar with it over the last couple of weeks, just because I knew I was going to talk about it at the meeting. And there's things we have to do. They take samples daily. So, but every annual year we have to submit a water quality report, partly to the residents, just so you folks know what's in it. So,
Was
okay.
part of this conversation opened up because of its corrosive nature? It wasn't just the fluoride of the water, but it was what
Yeah.
it was doing to it. That's what precipitated part of this conversation.
I
To get out of the political end of it.
Right. What it came to my attention more when I first saw it, and then I had some folks talk about it. We had the open house, so people had made some comments, and I said, let's just look at it, and maybe there's an alternative. Maybe at the end of this process, we discover that there's an alternative, and then we have to look at that. We have to look at those costs. But I hope the same people that got up tonight, that usually come up and yell at me or whoever, can support us if we decide to go to an alternative, if that's what the board wants to do. And we have to make an investment into infrastructure, as was mentioned, that they don't have to be in front of us, but maybe just alongside us would be good. So, again,
Is this public comment?
yeah.
Am I allowed to?
Absolutely.
I know I got here a little bit late.
No, that's fine.
Peter asked me to wear my hat when I do this, right?
Just
So-
please come up to the podium if you
Happy,
can.
we'll do it that way. Richie Sullivan, Fort Montgomery. So back in I've had my water license twice in my lifetime. Back in 2004, I went with Jack Sibley. At that time, the Orange County Department of Health gave it out at up. You didn't have to go to Morrisville. One of the things they're required to teach by law is to tell you about at Ellis Island, back in the beginning of the 20th century, they found people from Holland and other countries that were coming with discolored teeth. It was called modeling. They had modeled teeth.
They found that where they were living at, there were high amounts of fluorine, and that was the reason they had the mottled teeth. They also found that it prevented tooth decay. Mostly that happened over a 10-year period of time. Talk about science. You can't figure out the con or pro in 10 days. You got to take time to do that. So in 1945, the cities of Kingston and Newburgh did a comparative study. Kingston did not fluoridate, and Newburgh did. And the results were pretty significant as far as dental decay. Now, there may be other detriments to fluorine that we don't know about yet. You're living 20 years longer than your grandparents did. Maybe that's because you have good mental health. So there's some pros to it I wouldn't be real quick to get over. The halogen family of chemicals in the periodic table is chlorine, fluorine, bromine, iodine, and 2 of them are radioactive, I don't know how to pronounce. All of them are highly reactive and highly corrosive, chlorine included. If we didn't chlorinate our water, we'd all be dead from germs. You can take that to the bank. So we'd be in no rush to get rid of this without studying it, having facts. In Yorktown, that supervisor made that decision in December, yes, before Bobby Kennedy. And in Ossining, I know the supervisor there. She is articles in the paper for the last couple of weeks they've had in the Times Herald Record. She's been vehemently opposing them removing it. Again, to say if it's children with autism, whatever being caused by Diet Coke or whatever, that takes time. And I would like to see the same type of effort in proving that as there has been in trying to say fluorine is detrimental to you. And finally, I could go on all night. There's 336 communities out of 2,700 water districts in New York that chlorinate. That represents 72% of everybody that's on a public water system. I know Rockland County has never fluoridated. I know Walden pulled out recently. So where am I going with this? Down in little old Fort Montgomery, where we didn't have water for a long time, I can tell you, public water, I can tell you we all had crack teeth. Is that the product of a study? I'm telling you, my family, everybody went, we called it painless Perry, and come home. I came home one time with 17 cavities from drinking well water, and we didn't have the fluoride. So I personally would not be in a big rush to get rid of it. Now that we have public water, and we pay 150%, which I'm glad to do, and we had the 39% increase, which we're glad to do. And by the way, Highland Falls has a wonderful water system. We're not the only place that charges 150%. Cornwall does it. I'm very glad to have the benefits of you investing in your water plant in Bog Meadow. I don't bear that financial burden. I just pay the 150%. I understand that. I think it's a great water system. It's full gravity. You have talented operators up there. I know the method that you use to fluoridate is an antiquated method, and I know it's corrosive and they don't like doing it. The chlorine that you use is still with gas cylinders. Not many people do that anymore. It's convenient and it doesn't have that corrosive. You put a lead washer in there, you hook up and away you go. So the water system is great. Just don't be in any rush, because down in the little Fort Montgomery, we waited a long time to get it. I like the water, and I personally would like to not see the fluorine removed without some thought. Thank you.
All right, we okay on this so far? We're gonna keep the public hearing open, so there's nothing.
Gotta take my hat off, Peter?
You do what you want. So we're gonna keep the public hearing open on it.
I do have a comment.
Sure, sure.
Richie, I always appreciate you. You're always full of such great information. I'm going to take responsibility for the information letter that was sent out. A lot of the comments tonight were based upon that. And I will say that the origin of that really did not come from do an analysis on the entire subject. The question that was asked was specifically to put together some information on why it should come out, whether there were some reasons on that end. And that letter was gone through the mayor's hands and the clerk's hands and the attorney's hands before it made it to the newspaper. So procedures certainly will be tightened up moving forward. I am very new up here, so I certainly will not I will not be mistake-free in this position. So I do hope that you can bear with me while I learn the ropes up here, but that's what I have to say on that. With the fluoride in general, there is a lot of information out there, and some of the things that stuck out to me, and just the notice that the mayor had gave to the board today was the fact that there are opportunities for you to find fluoride outside of your water supply, but for those of you who do have a different perspective, there's really no way to get rid of it. There's not an option both directions there, okay? And that the fluoride is naturally found in water and soil and in rock, and the way that it was used previously in the very early stages of when this was implemented is not the same procedure that is used today. So that's something that really needs to be looked at, and I do agree that it should be analyzed, and I would like myself to also hear from some professionals on the subject. So we do intend to keep this open, and I hope that a lot more discussion can come through this.
Yes. Sorry, trustee Carroll.
I don't know if anybody could give me this answer, but what's going on with Poland Spring? I mean, I drink nothing but bottled water. What's the process there? How do they do that?
They don't have it. It's not in there.
It's not in there?
I mean, I've never done a test on it, but it comes from Poland Spring.
Some bottled water does. It could be natural, but specifically.
All right, so I'd just like to say,
Were you good, trustee?
Yeah.
just like to say thank you for everybody that came out. Please go back, talk to your friends, tell them what your opinion is, ask them what their opinion is, and let them know that we are going to have public hearings still open at our next meeting. We need to hear from the public. I want to know what you want. We work for you. And that's the bottom line. There was a little offshoot about piping the water. This was brought up probably around 10 years ago. We can delve into that really deep, but this is about fluoride right now. But just in a quick nutshell, we get water from a few different sources, and if we were to pipe it, the question that I would have is, are we just going to run a pipe from Bog Meadow? If so, right now, we're just using Glycerin Hollow. So how do we pipe that? There's a lot going on there, and then you have the environmental factors as well, because if you pipe it, there's streams there, and there's an ecosystem that we're going to have to jump through the New York State DEC with. If we start to release water or in a pipe, how much are we going to release, and then we're going to be able to keep the ecosystem of the stream viable? There's a lot involved if we're going to pipe it. I asked many years ago about getting the MSDS from the golf course on what chemicals they use. Somebody showed me a big stack, but never gave it to me. So we'll reach out to them on that as well. But that's another issue. Let's work on this fluoride. Again, I thank everybody for coming out tonight and look forward to hearing from you at the next meeting as well.
Okay, so we're gonna keep it open. I don't think we have to do anything else other than that, right? Let's just keep it open. Okay. So we're gonna move on to the next public hearing, which is in regards to on Fair Housing Act. And I need a motion and a second to open that public hearing, and then I'll give a little rundown. Motion from trustee Gargiulo, seconded by trustee Carroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll open the public hearing on the Fair Housing Act. This particular public hearing is in regards to a grant process that we go through for the county. It's federal money that gets distributed to the states, to the counties, and then gets distributed locally. We have done extremely well with the CDBG grant. And so we are putting in for grant monies actually for this building again, primarily for the parking lot, the retaining wall, and a ramp. So because this is the approved site, voting site from the county, we put together a cost analysis with our engineer and submitted it through CDBG. They took the grant application, and so part of the process is we have to have a public hearing on it to move it forward. So it's open, if anybody has any comments.
Excuse me, what was the location of the building?
The one we're in? So, again, we're doing the entire parking lot, the retaining wall out front, and getting rid of the steps outside and putting in a ramp.
Okay.
So it's ADA. So, we worked with our village engineer, came up with some costs, and I think I think we're gonna get it, and I think it's gonna be fantastic. Everybody's okay with that? If there's no comments, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Wait, I want to have a comment.
Yes, sir.
It's not about the periodical chart, but I love the fact that people from Highland Falls can come and talk about the periodical chart.
Sure.
I can't, but there's other people. At one point, a year and a half ago, there was a potential discussion to try to sell this building and provide it to a developer. I know it's super controversial. I'm gonna bring it up because it may be an opportunity, may not be. Not only this building, but the two up front, and take those funds and build or occupy another space in the village, in the town, wherever it is. I'm not sure that by spending additional monies here at this time and basically locking this building in for the next 10 years is what we want for Main Street and what we want for the community. I know it's what we want for our seniors. We want the best place we can for our seniors, but perhaps we should look elsewhere before we make a decision to lock this in for 20 years.
Anybody else on this? I'll address some of that. No? What, no? I'm gonna get a motion to close the, I'm gonna learn from my mistake. I'm gonna get a motion to close the public hearing before I make my comments.
Motion to close public hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. So this building, little history lesson. I can't believe I can actually do that at 45. I give a little history lesson. So little history lesson. The building was purchased, I want to say around 12 to 14 years ago, maybe a little later. And it was done through a grant from CDBG to purchase the building. We're already locked in. It's federal money to purchase the building. Now, could we get out of it? I'm sure if you threw enough money at it, you can probably get rid of just about anything. But the bottom line is that we've had no such formal proposal. I don't have anywhere else to put the seniors. I already have an established building that's a municipal building, and we sometimes forget that. It's a municipal building for seniors. It's also our emergency center when we had the flood and when we have, God forbid, another incident that we have to make this the go-to place. So in the meantime, regardless of whether or not I get another grant from CDBG, because there's been several others after the initial one to buy the building, we've done a lot of work on this building. And I probably want to say we're at $500,000 in CDBG money in this building, roughly. So I need to take care of the parking lot. You're, Mr. Titolo, you're an exceptional construction contractor and knowledgeable person. That retaining wall out there is just no good. It's gonna come down. So I'm trying to take care of what infrastructure, Mr. Leo, that I have now. Even if I do get the grant, it takes 18 months to get the money. So I still have a time that I have to deal with. So, and even if I do get the grant and do the work, the best information I've gotten so far is I'm gonna have to buy out the grant. The only other issue that creates is that I don't think we'll ever be able to go, or there's a cool-off period that I can go for CDBG grant money again. There's a lot of variables on getting rid of this building. I know it's a central location to some other property owners that may own it, but to be honest with you, as I said in the beginning, I have to worry about what's the best thing for the community. And right now, this established building for seniors and for folks who use it, like us tonight, I have to go with my gut and go move forward and take care of the infrastructure I do have to take care of. If something happens in the future, I think myself and the board, I won't speak for them, but I think myself and the board, we're open-minded to anything. I think we've proven that so far. So I hope that kind of answers your question a little bit.
Yes, I would just like to add a little bit to that. I agree that we should take care of our seniors 1,000%. I still think that there may be a different opportunity to do that. And the tax benefit of this in private hands, 3 stories, 4 stories, whatever it is, commercial, is significant over the next 20 years. And I agree you have to take care of your seniors now, but we have to put this village in a position that in 20 years, somebody looks back and says that was a good decision.
I'll just echo that with, I agree with those sentiments. And I will also say that there have been folks who've owned property in this town for almost a decade now and nothing's happened. So my fear is that, I can't wait 10 years to find out that it gets sold to another company or it gets sold to another investor or, I don't have any movement on properties. I'm not talking about what's been purchased in the last 24 months. I'm talking about properties that have been purchased and been in the works for almost a decade. Multiple properties. So I completely appreciate those comments, believe me. But I have an opportunity now, and I think we should take it now. Otherwise, as an elected person, if you're going to leave a $175,000 grant on the table, I think with a potential of something maybe happening, which is exactly what it is, it's a potential for something maybe happening, I think that you're going to be hard pressed to get taxpayers to agree with you on that. That's just my personal opinion.
All right, something to say?
Absolutely, Mr. Carroll. I'm too scared of you anyway. So.
I know what Jimmy was thinking about, because we've talked. And I'd like to present it to you. And I know that it's, it's a big step forward. The AOG did talk to us one day about buying the village hall. They wanted to look at it and potential buying it. Now, with them owning these 3 buildings out front of us here, if they got this building, they wouldn't have to worry about all this parking that has gotten all fouled up. They could take this down and build the nice apartments in here and have a green area in the center for the ladies that live here, having a little playground, water fountain or something for the kids, and make it real nice. Right now, they're just gonna be crowding this area really bad. Now, that would give them from here over to Drew Avenue and out to Main Street. Now, if they would buy this building off us and then buy the village hall off us, we could buy the bank off Manicozy. And in the bank, we could put the police department in the back, the village hall in the front, the senior center in the middle, parked over there by the, close to Mr. Copel's, to go in that way. That would leave us a government building. Upstairs, we could put the town hall in there. We could put, the building inspector, the tax department, possibly the courthouse and everything, and then figure out what to do with the town hall too. I know it's big to do that, but it may be with grants, we could go that way. That would give us a government building, and it would free up the village hall, which needs a lot of money invested in it. And AOG would be responsible for that. It would clear this whole area out and give it a real nice touch. The whole north end, what they really ought to be focusing on, when they expressed at that convention they had about 2 weeks ago, that they wanted to talk about that lot next to the post office. I said to them, that's ridiculous. The front of that's 35 feet. You put a driveway in there and you're down to 15. And then you expect us to go to the commercial up there We'd have to go up Main Street, up Snyder Avenue, across Center to get down there. That's not gonna happen. So the next time I talked to AOG was about 2 weeks later. They saw the light. They said, you know what, we'd like to take that property and donate it to the town for a parking lot. You know, they don't think out of the box like we do, that we've been here so long. We have to get from the church to the gate and really get it buffed up to make this town, you know, an attractive town to come to, you know. Like I said, how do you send your kids to West Point? You go up there, you get, you know, you pass the interview and everything, you come out and you want to celebrate, you say, all right, the father says, I want to take you all to get a steak. You gotta go to Monroe to get one, you know. Instead, you know, you go to the steak, you get the motel and everything out of town probably, and then you say, well, let's go down to Annapolis. You take them down there and you take a look at that place. And then he says, well, this looks nice. How about Colorado? What does Air Force look like? You take him there. Then you ask the son where he wants to go. Nobody's gonna say West Point, you know. They have nothing here. We have nothing here. Coming out the gate, we have nothing. So if we did concentrate from the churches to the gate, we would have something. And another thing, the 4th of July, the man that owns the motel died. I mean, the marina died. There might be a possibility that they could get that marina, the AOG or an investor. And that would really improve this north end of town. We could really, you know, we'd be like Gulfport. There's so much potential, but we gotta take the big steps. And then we gotta go for the grants and the, you know, for the investors, you know. They had all those investors up there 2 weeks ago. We gotta do something like that, you know, or join in with the AOG and do it. Something like that. I don't see keeping this, you know. I think that the seniors would be more than happy to be down there with the parking we got at the bank and going in that side door. To put the Historical Society down there also. There's that much room in that building, you know? I don't know. That's all I got to say.
Anybody else on the board? That's where we opened up this whole thing now? No? Okay. The only comment I'll make is that in the last, I'll go back to 10 years, we've most recently overhauled our zoning. We changed the zoning to accommodate a potential hotel that never happened on Main Street. We rolled out the red carpet for another hotel on 9W. That didn't happen. We have changed whatever we needed to change, however fast we could as government, because you still have to remember, we are government, even though we're a small one. Or we're not state or county. And I think we've been, as best we can, with the resources we have, as accommodating as we possibly can. And I always love to hear big plans. I think big plans are excellent. And I think vision is excellent. But where we are right now, I would really, really, really like to see something material happen. There is plenty of property that has been purchased by different investors in this community, and they've moved forward with new buildings. Tobin's Lane, Mountain Avenue. I can name a few. Multiple on Mountain Avenue. It wasn't a conglomerate that's graduates of any type of school. It was individuals putting money into the community. And imagine that. They actually bought land and then built something. If I hear one more grandiose story about moving 14 chess pieces at once, you cannot do it that way, all right? I've seen plenty of movies too. I understand it can happen, but again, something material would be nice to see. All I'm getting now, you want to have a nice steak? You want to have a nice steak dinner? Just give the person that just opened the restaurant a chance. build a motel. You got 2 spots right now. I don't see a shovel in the ground in either spot. From people who say that they have deep pockets. Boy, I'll tell you. Thank God my father was a banker for as long as he was. I did learn a few things. So there's a lot of potential in the community. I happened to meet both sets of investors that day. We had a great conversation at the Park Restaurant. Wasn't in the paper, but that's okay. I'm not here for the limelight. We had great conversations, and all of them said that we appreciated the dialogue because we all were kind of saying the same thing. Town, village, county, and maybe that hasn't happened in a long time. I don't know. But they liked what they were saying. A lot of shaking hands, a lot of positive vibes. It was good. And we have some progress already. Let it take it. It's not a silver bullet situation. Let them see what they're going to do. I mean, it took a while for things to happen. They're happening. I'd like to see the other investor that purchased 4 buildings on Main Street do something with his or hers property. You know, before we start selling everything else, let's see. Let's see what we got with what we got. All right. So, is everybody okay on the board? We're going to move forward on this. All right. So we're going to motion to close the public. We did that. I need a motion to open the next public hearing, which is hopefully an easy one. It's a public hearing notice of failure of remedy violation of property maintenance. I have it here. It's a Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees resolution concerning violation of property maintenance located at 52 West Street, section block and lot 103-513, and 94 Putnam Street, section block and lot 103-614. Whereas long-standing violations of the village property maintenance law, chapter 170 of the Village of Highland Falls Code have existed at each property listed above, designated as tax map noted above. Whereas the property owners were given due notice of said violations and been directed to correct the violations, property owners were given due notice of the public hearing held before the Board of Trustees today, July 7th at 7 p.m. to determine whether these violations have been properly remedied and whether to order the corrective action be undertaken by the village to correct said violations at the property owner's cost and expense, to bill said cost and expense to the property owner, and to levy the same against the property. So, there's a couple more whereases here, but is there anybody from those 2 properties, 52 West Street or 94 Putnam Street? Going once, going twice? No? Okay. So whereas a public hearing was duly held by the Board of Trustees on July 7th, 2025, and whereas the owners did not appear, and whereas the owners have not taken steps to correct the violations and the violations still exist, and whereas the Board of Trustees is authorized pursuant to section 170-2 of the property maintenance law to authorize that the village undertake to remedy such violations at the property owner's cost and expense, now therefore I'm reading all this, folks, just because you got to be official. Now therefore be it resolved that the village its contractors or agents shall enter upon the property to correct any unforeseen violations, and that all costs incurred by the village, including administrative, legal, and corrective costs, be charged to the property owner, and such charge shall be added to the tax bill of the property owner if not paid within 30 days of this notification to the last known address of the property owner as shown on the village tax records. Dated July 7, 2025, Highland Falls, New York. Motion was made by trustee Olivia, seconded by
Second.
trustee Ramus. Roll call.
Trustee Olivia?
Yes.
Trustee Ramus?
Yes.
Trustee Gardullo?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. Motion passes. All right. That was pretty good. Okay. I'm happy to say I think we're through the public hearings, right? Do I need a motion to close the public hearing? We did that.
You did that.
Perfect. Okay. So we're going to start with our regular meeting now. Does anybody think that's okay? You take a water break? Half water or a bottle? Okay. Okay. So we'll start with, okay, so just a comment, just a quick comment. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you for getting through the public hearings. We appreciate your input. That's the only thing I was saying. Any organizations that would like to comment about anything? I have some elected officials in here, Supervisor Livesey and Councilmember Sullivan. You folks have anything you want to talk about?
In regard to anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
New format.
Does anybody mind if I talk about anything?
No, now's your time to
All
shine.
right, so here's I'm gonna talk about anything.
You have to come up to the microphone.
So just like, not to be a know-it-all or whatever, about every 10 years, there's a group that will formulate and decide they're gonna go to West Point for water and all this stuff. I've been seeing that all my life. In regard to the village system, which is 1,600 acres, West Point has 16,000 acres. They're actually south of us with their collection system. Bog Meadow is about 150 acres of water itself. The watershed around it is about 300 acres. Glycerin Hollow, which I'm glad you're using, and there should be a reservoir there before I die, I sure hope so, is about, I'm gonna say about 100 acres in that area. So, if you were to pipe the area where the plains are down there, you will effectively reduce your safe yield. Your 750,000 gallons a day is based upon the water that's running off the golf course down through 293 and all that. So when I hear people talk about piping it, that's okay, but remember your safe yield will be affected by that. That's fact. So that's it, all I want to say.
Supervisor? Public comment on agenda items, not public hearing, just the agenda items.
Mr. DeSalvo?
Yes, sir,
I
Mr.
asked that, in February, I asked that, actually, April, maybe May, I'm losing track here, that zoning become an agenda item. It's not here. I have some comments on zoning.
Sure. Well, can you wait till we get to the public comment on anything?
I can
We
wait.
can hang out for a little, I think the rest should go relatively
All right.
smooth. So. Of course, famous last words. Okay. Everybody else okay on public comment on agenda items? Okay. New business. First thing I have to do is approve bills and claims. It's warrant number 2412D. It's for fiscal year 24-25. You have those in front of you. It is it's the first set. And the total amount is $41,565.73. Need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve.
Motion by trustee Ramus, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Carroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. The next one is approved bills and claims, warrant number 2502. And just so the board and the public know, this is that time of year where we have a little overlap from last fiscal year to this fiscal year, just timing wise. It's warrant number 2502. You also have that with you. And the total there is $217,854.63. and includes a few prepaids. And those four that are there are the bigger ticket items for general water sewer capital. I need a motion and a second, please.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gargiulo, seconded by trustee Carroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. We have minutes from a regular meeting, June 16th, 2025. I was able to read those over. I don't know if anybody has any corrections to make. If not, I'll take a motion to approve them.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Motion by trustee Ramus. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Olivia. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, it's the resolution supporting the Fair Housing Act that we did discuss at the public hearing tonight. I will read. I'll read the last two, be it further resolved. Is that okay, Madam Attorney? Okay, be it further resolved that the municipality shall publicize this resolution and through its publicity shall cause owners of real estate, developers, and builders to become aware of the respective responsibilities and rights under federal fair housing law. Be it further resolved that the municipality will, at the minimum, include but not be limited to the printing and publicizing of this resolution. a fair housing public notice and other applicable fair housing information through local media, community contacts, and placement of the municipal website and other social media, distribution of posters, flyers, and other means that will bring the attention of those affected, the knowledge of their respective responsibilities and rights concerning fair housing. Again, this is so that we can put in for the CDBG grant money. I understand some of the folks' concerns at the public hearing. I think even if we did want to move forward on something, we would still be able to do it. It would just take a savvy investor. But I think it's something we should support now. It's a $175,000 grant, and I'm very favorable that we're going to get it. So I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Olivia,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carroll. Can I have roll call, please?
Trustee Olivia?
Yes.
Trustee Ramus?
Yay.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Gardula?
Yes.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. Thank you very much. We have the,
Yes.
we actually did the resolution,
Yes.
so we're okay. All right, so 5 we did. I'll flip over the agenda. I have a resolution in front of us for a budget transfer. Whereas at the July 7th, 2025 board meeting, the village board approved the budget transfer from general fund to workers' compensation. Now therefore be it resolved that the following budget transfer in the amount of $2,121.12 be approved from Chase General Fund 7927 to NCA Workers' Compensation 0658. And this is for 25-26. I need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion by trustee Olivia, seconded by
Second.
trustee Ramus. Looks like a roll call.
Trustee Olivia?
Yes.
Trustee Ramus?
Yay.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Gardula?
Yes.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. The next resolution is another budget amendment. Whereas an earmarked portion of the Village Hall reserve, we talk about reserve accounts at every budget, so thank God the board had the foresight to put some money away. An earmarked portion of the Village Hall reserve will be used in emergency repairs at Village Hall. We had a major leak from a roof that needed to be fixed many years ago. So this board is about getting things done, and so we called a contractor in an emergency and fixed the roof. Whereas $32,500 of the reserve fund has been designated to offset the Village Hall emergency repairs to the roof. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve an amendment to increase the appropriations budget A.1620.04 Buildings Contractual for $32,500 and revenue code A2770 Miscellaneous Revenues for fiscal year 2025-26. Motion by
I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee Ramus, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Carroll.
Discussion? I have a question.
Absolutely.
Does anyone know what the actual square footage that was re-roofed? Yeah, re-roof is what it says on the description, whether it was repaired or redone. Do we know what the actual amount of repair was? Because it's not on the contract, which felt a little unprofessional to me, that there wasn't really enough detail on the contract itself to be able to really give a determination of.
Re-roof,
What was
install
that?
half fiberboard insulation using 3-inch galvanized plates, install aluminum drip edge around the perimeter, install seam tape on all seams, and install new flashing on the exterior chimney, install VersaCode .060 MLED and EPDM rubber roof, 10 years of labor warranty. Lower section, EPDM is good, just need to redo the seams. The part is included in the quote. The company was Brothers Roofing, 10 years workmanship warranty, gave the scope of work. Company will provide services as described in the attached quote. Company will provide all services, materials, labor, tools, equipment needed for completion of services. Warranty, company warrants all work performed, conditions to require $500 minimum down. sign, I mean, I was up there and I looked at it, there were holes in the ceiling.
So-
I mean,
I think the question is, correct. The lower section, the seam's good, they're
Yeah.
just doing the seams. The upper section, hazard that guess, the upper section.
Correct.
It doesn't have the square footage on it, and that I think is what you're asking.
Yes,
correct?
I saw the room where the leak actually was coming in from inside. And I did go up to the third floor and you can see the actual roof from inside of that particular room where the leak was. And I'm just trying to, you know, be able to give a judgment on it. And if it was only that portion of the roof that was done, then I think 32,000 would be quite a lot of money for that
Right.
amount. But if it was, you know, the whole roof or more significant portions of it, then that would be a different story. But it's hard to make a judgment because the information's really just not there.
I don't have a square footage answer for you. I can get it if you'd like. I can find out how many tiles they used and then we can base it on that. I mean, all I know is that the roof was leaking, records were getting destroyed, and we had to make a move, like, you know. I'll get you the information if you like.
That's okay. Well, the work is already done now, so I would like to see that if they can provide that.
Absolutely.
I think that would be beneficial. And we're moving the money for it tonight into the reserve. I do feel like that should have probably been done before the work was done, but
Well, we have to approve the bills and claims, so the check gets cut tomorrow.
right. I just need the work itself actually was already done, so.
Yeah, because it was an emergency.
Maybe should have been on the last agenda.
No, it happened in between agendas.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an emergency. Otherwise, we would have went through a normal bid process, but checking with council was an emergency. I had to make it all.
Okay.
Who ended up doing inspecting?
I had,
Mr. Jones.
yeah, Mr. Jones at the time. It all kind of happened around the same time that, so, it was actually back-to-back leaks. The first one wasn't as bad. The second one was
Destroyed record.
was a situation, so, I mean, when they were doing the work, I went up there. Now, I've never roofed a house, so I don't know that part, but there were literally holes that they were replacing, so, yeah. I mean, and I thought they did a great job. I mean, again, I'm not a roofer, but, you know, you look at a quality job, quality work. They do warranty everything, and we did have somebody on site too, so,
So we did have someone overseeing the job?
yeah. Yeah, it was a member of the DPW, I think, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
supervisor.
So we okay? Okay. So you had discussion, anybody else have discussion? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Olivia?
Yes.
Trustee Ramus?
Yay.
Trustee Gardullo?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. I'll get you the square footage, sure. Okay. We got a notification from the police chief. It is my recommendation that the village board vote to appoint Ms. Krieger to the position of full-time dispatcher. This position will be provisional, and she would be required to take and successfully pass the next dispatching exam offered by Civil Service. Stacy, or her nickname is Stacy, has 2.5 years of dedicated service around the department and is a valued member of our team. Most part-time, right? Yeah. She has been with us for a few years. She's been exceptional as part-time. I see no reason why to put her to full-time, which we are down to. So I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gardullo, is there a second?
Second.
By trustee Carroll, is there any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Olivia?
Yes.
Trustee Ramus?
Yay.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Gardullo?
Yes.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. Before you have a proposal for, we have several buildings that do generator we have generators for several buildings, a couple of pump houses too, for water, sewer, not water, sewer. But we do have a generator at the water plant. So the water company, VRI, went out and looked at a couple different companies for a company to service the generators. So we have the two bids in front of us, and his recommendation is to approve Gentech as the lowest responsible bidder for emergency generator and yearly service contract at the wastewater treatment plant as recommended by VRI. So this handles the wastewater treatment plant and the various different locations that they have generators at. I know there's another pump off of Webb Lane, so they would also monitor that. And the proposals were pretty thorough, a lot of information, and Gentech came in as the lowest bidder. So if the board would like to move forward on that, I just need a motion and a second.
I'd like a motion to accept the lowest bid from Gentech for maintenance on our generators.
I need a second. Seconded by trustee Carroll.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Yes. This is a routine general maintenance agreement for the generators that is basically an oil change for quite a lot of money for routine maintenance. That's what several of these are tonight. Again, I'm gonna say that either our DPW, I'm actually kind of surprised that this would not be in the contract with VRI, that they wouldn't be taking care of the oil changes on the equipment at the facility. But whether it was through VRI or through DPW, I think that we're already paying for people that should have the ability to take care of this routine work. So I'm gonna say no to this one.
How much was the amount of the bid?
A little over $4,000 collectively for all of the different locations.
Yes. It's broken down per site, so yeah, total would be roughly 4 for the year. Roughly 4 for the year?
4,000?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who used to make this? Who used to make this?
They weren't, they're new, so we had warranties, and so most of them are new. The generator, I don't, first of all, my comments are not to be argumentative by any means. I understand what you were saying completely. The investment that we made in the sewer plant, I mean, the generator down there is, I would say it's probably the size of a small school bus. And I don't know, we have a DPW staff that work their tails off. All right? Does that mean that there's not some downtime sometimes? Sure. I don't know an industry that there's not. But my point is that we pay our DPW employee maintenance workers $24 an hour. And on the civil service description of jobs, being specialized in certain things like boiler repair or HVAC or the inner workings of generators, you can't just look at this situation as just the company coming in and changing the oil. It's not just that. And companies are not going to come in here and just maybe they want to do a maintenance contract. And you're going to pay more if you don't have them in a routine, regular scheduled maintenance program. It's just,
I completely understand. The machinery does need routine maintenance, but we are already paying people who should be able to accomplish these tasks. I will read the description here. It says semi-annual contract on the first visit major. The scheduled maintenance includes replacement of lube oil, lube filter, fuel filter, spark plugs. We all know how often we change spark plugs, right? Coolant filters and air cleaner element as needed. The second visit minor will be performed. We will perform all service checks per the attached checklist and make any necessary adjustments. The attachments here are belts and fuel solenoids, fuel injection system. They're just checking all of these things, checking the oil system, checking the exhaust system, the cooling system.
Yeah.
They're looking at these different items, and there's actually semi-annual on here and annual. Is that they're doing both of these things? The annual contract, it says, scheduled maintenance includes replacement of lube oil, lube filter, fuel filter, spark plugs, coolant filters, and air cleaner elements as needed, as well as all service checks attached. And so it's the same thing, whether we do it twice a year or once a year, they're basically doing an oil change on the equipment. And that's the same thing we have for the Gen Tech here. It's the same thing for the next one we're going to talk about, CD Perry, and it's again the same thing for the following one after that, the MJ and Sons for the heating.
Mhm.
If you're talking about,
It's cooler.
we're doing cooling or the heating?
Not the heat. Well, we're gonna do.
Well, there's one for each of them on
We'll
here.
get to it.
However, these are maintenance contracts, so if we have over 4,000 for this one, 1,800 on this one, and then we're at 8,000 on this one, and this is for annual maintenance on all of these equipments, we might as well just hire somebody full-time or part-time for a maintenance guy for the cost of what we're paying these individual companies to come do this minor service work.
The cost to hire one person to just handle all the stuff you just mentioned would be roughly $100 grand. So if the board wants to spend $100 grand and hire another body,
I don't think we need to hire another body. I think that we should be utilizing the ones that we're already paying,
And
that is written in their contracts,
and
that they should be able to do this work.
and I appreciate that, I do, but I firmly disagree with that. And I think the reason why I don't have 2 more people in the department is because we spend 10 grand on outside companies to help solve a lot of the problems that they may be taking over. If they, you can't have it both ways. You can't have a bare bones crew, whether it be the police department, the DPW, sanitation needs more people. Every department needs more people. I mean, I'm down 3 police officers in the police department. When the DPW was fully staffed, I had 7, not including administration. So, we're light in a lot of the departments. Probably, I need 2 people in Village Hall. Even from the state, they say I need 2 people. I can't afford. Can't afford them. So I hire outside contractors because they're cheaper. I don't have to deal with the legacy costs. I don't have to deal with the packages. So I understand what you're saying. I'm not dismissing it. Please don't take it that way. But I spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a year instead of spending 60, 70, 80, 90, 100,000. Whatever the board wants to do, this is, the problem is that when something breaks down, I said this the other day to the clerk, they're not gonna call, you guys aren't gonna answer the phone. I gotta answer the phone. And then I got a situation where I gotta hire an outside vendor who I don't have a contract with, and I'm sure anybody who's had to own a home or own a business, or you call somebody out in an emergency, the price goes up there. So, look, whatever you guys wanna do, I'm one vote.
Can you table that for the next meeting?
We tabled it already, Jim, and to be honest with
We should hear
you,
from the public also about these types of issues.
Jim, to be honest with you, moving on a generator, I mean, I appreciate the public's input, but I don't know that we need it for this type of thing.
It shouldn't be one generator.
It's not, it's multiple.
Well, plus we have generators at Village Hall that nobody's servicing, right?
Yeah.
So why isn't that all one package? Why is it somebody
Jim,
taking
Mr. Titolo, I can't even move forward on 4,000. You want to move them forward on 8,000?
a complete package for service on generators in the village?
I need to move on this. If the board doesn't want to move on it, then that's fine.
Discussion, the motion was made.
Motion and second was made. We're in discussion. So if there's no more discussion, I'll ask for a roll call.
Trustee Olivia?
No.
Trustee Ramus?
Yay.
Trustee Carroll?
Abstain.
Is there a reason you're abstaining, Trustee Carroll?
I don't understand.
Trustee Gardullo?
Yes.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Next is gonna be, we got quotes for same thing, not the same thing, different things. Again, none of the folks that work for us are certified to fix boilers. So, or routine maintenance on boilers, so. We got 2 quotes, and I thank Trustee Olivia for stopping us on the last meeting, because I had an incomplete quote from a local vendor, and when we didn't move forward on it, I called him up or them up and said, listen, add the same buildings on yours that we had on the other one. So they did, and it came in significantly lower for the heating portion. So what I would like to do is move on the cooling portion for the one company and the heating portion on the other bidder. And they look different, so. The cooling would be from M.J. and Son Mechanical Services for the yearly contract for $4,220. And it takes care of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings, including the one we're in now. And then the heating would be C.D. Perry Co., which we did have in place before, to do the water plant, the sewer plant, the senior center, the highway garage, the I guess there's 2 heatings, the superintendent's office, village hall, and the PD. So the total for that bid was $1,820 for the year, and the cooling was $4,220 a year for the cooling. So I'd like to do MJ Mechanical for the cooling and CD Perry Co. for the heat. We can break them up, we can do it together, we can do nothing, whichever the board would like to do. I need a motion and a second, though, to move on the 2 low bidders.
I'd like to make a motion.
A motion by Trustee Carroll. Is there a second?
Second, discussion, please.
Yeah. We did speak, hold on, I'll address that. Did I get a second? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Second.
Second by Trustee Olivia. We can do discussion. Yes, I did reach out to, I did reach out to the local company and they declined. So I did call, because that was a question. We can have discussion if we want.
I just want to read what's on here for the preventative maintenance so that you see what the scope of work is. It says service includes, this is for the heat from CD Perry, service includes heat exchanger, cleaning and inspecting the sewer pipe, checking all controls, including thermostat and emergency switches. For the boilers, low and high limits checking, circulators, oiled and checked, aquastat zone valve operation checked. For furnaces, blower operation checked, replacing air filters. For oil, replace nozzle and oil filters. For steam, check blower water cutoff and flushing off the LWCO. In our DPW contracts, just so that you know where I'm coming from with this information, it does say for the class title Village Public Works Superintendent, supervise the construction or care and maintenance of municipal buildings. So it's written there as Public Works maintenance worker. It's also stated here participates in the maintenance and minor repair of buildings and equipment. Changing an oil filter is minor repair. Okay? And the other one was even a laborer, it says performs general buildings and grounds maintenance work of an unskilled character. So there are several different classifications of the people that we have already hired within DPW that should be able to perform these tasks.
Again, I would just argue that, as if you just read, unskilled. So this is not changing a spark plug in a lawnmower. This is not even changing a oil filter in a car, which we would hire a mechanic for. This isn't general practitioner stuff, some of it. It's, you go to specialists for a reason. So, you know, I don't call my roofer to do my boiler. You know, some of this, well, that's enough. We believe it enough. Any more discussion from the board?
I think, you know, they are one-year contracts, and I think revisiting, you know, who we hire, as we get a stronger DPW, I think it could be revisited, you know, next year. I'm just, you know, it isn't just general maintenance, and I'm looking at them as very large ticket items, God forbid there's some error or we miss something, or someone can't get out in an emergency.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand trustee Olivia's point of view, I really do, but I'm erring on the side of caution.
So what? Erring on the side of caution, I'm sorry.
I believe the maintenance group.
So the one thing I want to change on the HVAC is, we're just going to do a year. And hopefully he's fine with that.
I'm not sure.
With
Yeah.
MJ and Sons?
Yeah.
With mask.
The proposal was 3, but I think it'd be better just to do a year. And then we'll just do a renewal. Year with it.
Will they keep the same price for a year?
I'll see. We can see. No guarantees, but that's what we'll approve for now.
But
1 year.
this price was set for 3 years, right?
Yeah, so we'll go back to him and say, we'll take the year, if the board chooses. We'll do a year and see if he keeps the same price. And if the board's okay, we'll do a 1-year contract with a 1-year renewal. Is that okay? Depending on how we vote.
Changing the motion.
We're just amending the motion to
If the
specifically
folks who want to, okay.
For the MJ,
for
Yeah, for the
MJ
MJ,
and Sons with a
to a 1-year contract.
With a 1-year renewal. If-
automatic renewal or?
Per the board. So if trustee Carol and trustee Olivia are okay with that, we can move on that. Since you guys made the motion in a second. You okay? Trustee Olivia, okay? Just on the motion?
Sure.
Okay. I'll take a roll call.
Trustee Olivia?
No.
Trustee Ramos?
Yay, as amended.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Gardula?
Yes, it's amended.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. Okay. The last thing on the agenda is setting a public hearing on a monumental thing that I know Mr. Titolo has talked about for years. We are putting together a public hearing for a resolution for an unsafe building located at 22 Mountain Avenue. Whereas by letter dated May 27, 2025, the town building inspector and code enforcement officer notified the village board of trustees that the structure located at 22 Mountain Avenue, this is the pink building on the right as you go up, or the left coming down, was deemed unsafe pursuant to a FEMA ATC-45 rapid assessment performance on July 29, 2023. And whereas since the time the property has been abandoned and left unsafe in despair, whereas the building inspector states that the property was re-inspected on May 27, 2025 and has determined that the structure remains abandoned and meets the criteria for unsafe structure under the village code and uniform code. Now therefore be it resolved that the village board will cause a duly noticed public hearing to be held on August 4th?
Yes.
August 4th, 2025 at 6:30? 7. 7 better for you? Yes, 7. At 7 p.m. at the seniors, we'll probably be at Village Hall. We'll change that. At the Village Hall, in the Village of Highland Falls, we'll make every effort to ensure that the hearing is accessible to people with disabilities. Oh, wait a minute, that doesn't work. I'm sorry, go back to the senior center, my apologies. I'll read it like it should. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the village board will cause a duly noticed public hearing to be held on August 4th, 2025, at 7 p.m. at the senior center, 15 Drew Avenue, Highland Falls, New York. The Village of Highland Falls will make every effort to ensure that the hearing is accessible to people with disabilities. Anyone requiring special assistance and/or reasonable accommodation should contact the village clerk. Don't call it down. No offense. Dated July 7, 2025, by order of the Village Board of Trustees. So we're just making a motion to set a public hearing to, basically, at the end of this, we're going to be demolishing that building. It's been something we needed to do for the last 15 years. So we're getting it done. And you know, even though we sometimes have different viewpoints, the board itself is working cohesively to get things done, and this is a sign. So the public hearing will be set. I need a motion, a second. We approve that to take the building down at 22 Mountain Avenue. And what we'll do is we'll lay out the costs. We'll put it on the tax bill, and the county will eventually make us whole. So either way, if nobody pays the tax there, we still get made whole. So that, I need a motion and a second, and we vote on the public hearing. So who wants to make the motion? This is historic. Trustee Gargiulo.
Second?
Okay. Seconded by trustee, I'm gonna give it to Miss Olivia.
Yes.
I don't want her to think we're fighting. Discussion?
Actually, I do have a question.
Sure.
So if we demo this building, can the property owner utilize the same footprint to build a new building on? It's something that we're gonna have to ask the builder.
He would probably, he or she, depending on ownership, since it's been abandoned for going on almost 2 decades. I mean, if they were suddenly to reappear, it would be their property, they'd have some bills to pay, and then they would have to go through the process of the building department to rebuild the structure they would like.
It
They
would
could-
not be grandfathered.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that,
It would not be grandfathered.
Okay.
and that's what the point I'm trying to get at, based on the zoning that it's in, the setbacks would probably make that lot non-buildable at all.
Then they'd need variances from the ZBA.
Right,
They'd have
but
to
if
go
we-
with the ZBA variances.
But if we take the building down, is there a time frame, i.e. possibly 1 year, that they could
No.
put another building back in the same footprint?
I
There
don't
is
think
something-
so.
Should we ask the building department?
No, you don't need to ask the building department, I can tell you no. Because it's being taken down and the property owner,
There you go.
once the building comes down, it loses its pre-existing non-conforming status.
Okay.
If it was, in fact, the fact that it's been abandoned for, if it's been abandoned for over a year, it has already lost that status.
Right.
Okay.
So if the lot is not buildable, there would have to be a hardship application to the ZBA.
Right.
Okay, great, thank you.
My vision would be that either, depending on what happens after we take it down, it is still technically a parcel. So either maybe the village can take it and then maybe see if the adjoining property owners want to buy a piece and maybe put more parking. I'm sure they would want it, or whatever the process is, we can work with the county. Actually, some of my report later, when the county executive was in town, that particular property, because he only mentioned it to me, he said, "What is that thing on the way down Mountain Avenue?" And I said, "We're actually addressing it at our next meeting." I said, "But I may need your assistance to acquire the parcel or figure out how the adjoining property owners can each take a piece. If it's 10 by 10, then each get 5 by 5, you know, whatever it is, that they can add some additional parking, because it's tight up there with parking."
Well, thinking out of the box and thinking that AOG possibly will build on the other side of that road, it would be a great place for a connection of a walk bridge for whatever transpires on that AOG lot, to have access across, and that is in the general location to get right to Roe Park, which is the Gemini.
Absolutely. To be honest with you, my primary concern is to get the structure down.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It's been awful for 15 years.
Thank you. So, motion second, We good with discussion? Roll call?
Trustee Olivia?
Yes.
Trustee Ramus?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Gardullo?
Yes.
Mayor DeSalvo?
Yes. Thank you for that, folks. We do have executive session, but I want to do public comment first. And it's, well, on it, whatever. 13 seconds. 3 minutes.
Okay. Mrs. Olivia, thank you very much. Thank you for watching our expenditures, okay? And to the rest of the board, I suggest that you get detailed proposals for whatever work is being done and try to make sure that we collect every, for instance, generators. If we have 3 or 4 other generators, we should also include those in the summary of, and these proposals should include addresses of where these generators are and the type of generator. I do agree with Mr. DeSalvo related to sophistication of these generators and having a laborer change oil. Those type of laborers, 50 years ago, they could do all of that. Today, you don't want them touching a $100,000 piece of equipment. So I like the idea of a maintenance contract, one call, C.D. Perry, whoever it is, goes over and fixes it. I challenge the costs, and we as taxpayers need detailed summaries from all of these proposals. I hate the fact that $32,000, we don't have square footages, we don't have pictures, we don't have labor rates and how many hours were spent by our supervisor watching this, identifying the fact that there was 4 guys there for 2 hours or 4 guys there for a week. It's a big difference. This is prevailing wage. I know it's expensive. We as taxpayers need more detailed proposals and invoicing, and we need you guys to help us on that. We shouldn't be signing bills and claims without clear summaries and pictures. Okay. Zoning. Erin from AOG came to us about a lot at the bottom of, right next to the old post office, right next to our post office. It's a odd-shaped lot. Many people said they really couldn't do anything with it because of that shape. This is the perfect opportunity for a PUD. I'm not here talking about the planning board. I'm here as a taxpayer. So the planning board, the team on the planning board, who have been there for 20, 25 years, they may have a different opinion. I'm here as a taxpayer. But you should, all of you should talk to them. PUD, Planned Unit Development. Mr. Ramus knows this very well. Mr. DeSalvo, you know this also. Anything greater than an acre should be considered a planned unit development on our Main Street. And I'm going to try to summarize this to you. I had a handout that I forgot, but I'll send you an email with all of this.
Do you look, just real quick, do you know how big that lot is?
I don't.
Okay, go on.
Okay. First floor. Our first floor of the commercial district identifies 100% commercial. 100% commercial. No good. We have a problem with parking to begin with. So if I have a 100 by 100 lot, why don't I put commercial space on Main Street and have the ability to park my guests in the back of that lot? So that 100% of ground floor commercial should be no greater than 50%. For one reason is to solve a parking problem. Second reason is we have abandoned commercial spaces all over up and down Main Street. Why are we building more? Number 3, redefine the streets for the B1 district. I had a summary here. Here it is. This that we signed, I think in February, about the B1 district, took us 18 months. 18 months. we don't have 18 months, folks. We really don't have 18 months. I'm mad at myself for not being here February, March, April, May, whenever it was, okay? We need to make decisions here. And B1 district stops at the street before Mr. Copol's office. That B1 district on the north side of Main Street, on the west side of Main Street, should run down to Satterley Grove, because you have a doctor's office, you have the Hacienda, A, B, C, and D, and you have, on the east side of the street, you have the old bowling alley, which is the big commercial building. So we should extend that B1 district down to at least those areas. We should, you had a meeting with several developers. We should tell them that we can fast track the approval process as a village. Now you have to speak to the rest of the planning board. I would be in, and I'm sure a lot of them would be in to try to fast track an approval. But that's what we should be talking to these developers about. R3 zone currently does not allow two-family zone. We should want to retain residents in our village, because they're all going to Cornwall, Monroe, some to Rockland, definitely over across the river. The R3 zone should allow for two families. Many of the lots are 2 or 3 times the size that's required for one resident. So we should look at that. We should have a goal, collectively, we should have a goal to do 2 or 3 major projects in the next 24 months. Start. 2 or 3 major projects in the next 24 months. There's a part of me that believes that you guys are compensated properly. That's a joke, you're not, for what you do. But the planning board and the zoning board should really get more money for the energy they put into this exercise. And then I want to go to one other issue, ZBA. Jack's not here, and I don't want to talk behind Jack's back, but you, as a board, should approve the decision-making process of parking issues to the planning board. Move it away from the zoning board and move it to the planning board. I think we have a lot more flexibility than, and you can talk to council about this, than the ZBA. And I will summarize all this to you. Quickly, next meeting, I want to know about the builders meeting that was done, what was comments. Emergency management, based on what happened in Texas. We had a flood. Who is handling emergency management? Do we have a professional in that space? Should we pay a professional in that space to identify the 10 big risks? I don't know what that is. Police cars. I've asked about this 100 times. And the chief's here, and I wouldn't go around behind his back to ask about this, but why do the police cars have to run in the front of the police station? I was told that dispatcher needs to know where the police cars are. If my son comes up with the car and leaves the car on and walks in my house, I know where my son is. He's in my house. He's in the police station. So why do we have to have these cars running? Number one. Number two is there has to be technology today that can clearly identify where this car is at all times. And we should have it as a community. We should know where that car is. And we should save the gas on, why is the car running 24/7? I don't understand. Mr. Sullivan is here. Plastic bags are recyclables. Has nothing to do with you, but since Mr. Sullivan is here, Mountain Avenue, we put our recyclables out every day, once a week. The wind comes down Mountain Avenue, blows the cans out, blows the drums out, down, cans, bottles, plastic, all over into our sewer system, into our village sewer system. And clogs the sewer system, does whatever. I was told that it costs money if we put it in bags, and the guys have to go out and throw the bag in at the recycling place. The bag has to be removed. So I don't know what that number is, but I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be less than the cost of our maintenance to our sewer plant and the visual impact of people driving up and down Main Street or up and down Mountain Avenue and seeing, you know what, all over the street. Since we're on Mountain Avenue, cars parked on lawns. Cars parked on lawns. It's against the law in our books to park cars on your front lawn. So it really impacts. I have 4 or 5 cars and a truck, and I'm gonna park that on the front lawn so everybody that goes up and down sees how negative of an impression that gives to our village. So there's 2 or 3 people on Mountain Avenue that insist on parking on the lawn. Can we have someone do something about that? Can somebody please write that down and say, we need to do something about that? I want to give Merv Lindsay credit for this. Advertising board. On the way in, past West Point Auto, there's an island there, not the one that we have our sign in there, but why do we not have an advertising board that identifies, restaurants, gas, like every other place when you get off the highway? 16,000 cars drive down that 9W every day or up that one, but there's visitors also. How do we get them into the village? And I'm gonna say maybe 6 different advertisers pay $100 a month and to the village, and we basically advertise for them. And it could be McDonald's, it could be Andy's, it could be Hoffman's, it could be B-Rose, anybody. So one down just past West Point Motors, I think it's West Point Motors.
The spot.
The spot, and then one up by past our water treatment plant on the south side of 9W. 2 signs, advertisers pay $100 a month, and I don't know what that number is, but at least it encourages people to come into the village. And that's it for today, Mr. Gross.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Some of it I got for you tonight. Anybody else?
No one else?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Getting back to, onto your, I just was wondering, is there a time frame for getting it repaved? It's on your list, because we're waiting. I'll wait to hear.
No one else?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ron.
I appreciate the comments here. Ron Malcolm, Harry Avenue. I appreciate the comments about the zoning, and I kind of agree that the business district should extend at least to those businesses that are on Main Street, the Hacienda, the doctor's offices, the funeral parlor. Give them options for if they want to develop their property. But when you this new board came into effect in March, April, excuse me, and there was a mention that the next zoning thing was to tackle was the residential areas, and I think that this board should start considering it and put it on your thought process for 3, 6, 9 months down the road to have public hearings on changing some of the residential zoning. I would caution to go slowly on it, but there's a lot of there was a great example this today that 22 Mountain Avenue would be a non-conforming lot, but if you drive around the village, there's a lot of non-conforming lots. And you need to set some setbacks for little houses, small houses. It's a trend that's going on these days. For someone, a local person who owns that property, to be able to develop it and create a tax base because you now have a house on it. So, you know, open it up to the local property owners to make a profit on our village versus outside interests making all the profit, it seems, these days. Thank you.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Peter, can I do it without my hat this time? Is that okay with you?
You did it last time.
Okay, well, thank you. So where do I begin? With 22 Mountain Avenue, I want to extend my thanks to the board for being respectful, which wasn't always that way in the past. We've met a couple times since Jimmy's been elected. Moline has been there to discuss things that I saw while Philip was out in the code that needed to be addressed. For example, I'll reiterate, daycare centers in the Village of Highland Falls are not listed as permitted use. If you look at the bottom, you'll see if it's not listed, then it's not a permitted use. My intent is to make that so it is on that table in whatever provision you want to use. There's a couple other ones that I brought up. So we talked about 52 West, we talked about 22 Mountain Avenue, we talked about 115 Main Street, we talked about 9 Fort Putnam, which I'm glad you addressed that tonight. I want to not, get too far off the beaten path here. A couple of those places, the owner is at large. Good luck with that. Another one is deceased that you mentioned. He was in a nursing home and he's deceased. So wherever that goes is it. With 22 Mountain Avenue, that's like a dysfunctional lot. By the time you knock it down, it's probably going to be 15 grand. There's telephone wires there. There's not a lot of room. It's ready to fall in. I think you're right to want to turn that into a parking lot and have the adjoining landowners maybe buy it. Even if you could put something in that footprint with the electric wires there, the brook, and I'm not sure about that property. There are many properties along Highland Brook that own all the way to the other side.
Correct.
That might be when we could put a footbridge. I'm not sure about that one. The lot Jimmy mentioned over across in Town Hall next to the post office, that's actually 0.89 acres. So what I wanted to say is, what's the intent of zoning? To gradually reduce the degree of nonconformity as you move on. So it's shaped like this, and if you try to, again, change zoning to fit that lot, all you're doing in the end of it is making something that continues to be nonconforming. If I was an investor, I don't think I'd even buy that lot. I'm not trying to discourage anybody. The AOG has come forward to the planning board. I know up in this area where you're talking about we're doing all that, they want to take their existing property lines, absolve them, and I think the advice they got, and Jimmy can comment on this, is that now you're introducing a new lot which have a series of use variants that would be required. You have buildings there in different uses that are just fine right now. Once you remove those lot lines, you have a whole different situation. So it's complicated. Up there, they don't have to worry about subdividing. They get their check from the Pentagon and away they go, they build something. It's a little bit different down here. Their learning curve has been a little hard for them, and I believe in the AOG, and I believe in what they're doing. And I want to just finish up by saying there's a lot of negativity, and that's okay. People are right to want to get results. I'm going to take you for a little drive through Fort Montgomery. We're going to start with American Burrito, Richie's Restaurant, Bear Mountain Pizza, there's Dunkin' Donuts, there's Jason D'Onofrio's Deli, Mike Perullo has a very successful electrical business. You have next to Dunkin' Donuts, that lot, that's a hot prospect. A car dealership that's been there since the 50s, which is a very successful dealership. You have Barnstormers. You have the Holiday Inn, which is about to put another building in the front. It's approved. You have Fort Fitness. You have Michael Bosch's shop up there. I think it's a huge success story, and it was planned over many years of planning board activity. You have the old Bagel Cafe, which is empty. And that's the only one I can think of that's empty. Bear Mountain Pizza burned down 2 years ago, and they're back doing their thing. I'm going to continue into the Highland Falls area. I have always believed in Highland Falls, and I do now. So was it mismanagement? It was fate. We're not the only Main Street that happened to. And when we lost Ladycliff and all those taxables that were on that college, it took a long time to get where we're at now. and here we are, and I think we're rebuilding successfully. With this vacant property, the Thayer Spa was gonna go on. That has been approved for 5 years. Just want people to know that it only had 65 spaces when it was approved. You either had to get variances, which he declined to do, or go to the village and lease spaces. He changed it from 79 rooms to 100 rooms after COVID, so he's deficient by 35 spaces. He also had the old church down there, which that, I don't want to get into things that'll get me in trouble. There were some people that were past due paid to file a lien, and that church has sat empty ever since. And that too was approved by the planning board. So on the municipal side, we're doing our thing, and we're doing it well. In regard to recycling, the new one-armed bandit that we have is not able to be dumped by hand. At some point in time, it'd be nice if somebody at a higher level of government could get us a grant to get recycling cans for that thing. Now, the garbage cans, I've gone through so much of my life trying to address the garbage cans. We recently sent out billing to 23 people that were added on based upon Tiffany's review of that. All 23 of them are disputing it because the law is not written the way it should be. I've talked to you about that, and you're gonna get an email about it. But it's like everything else we do, it's the village's law, but the town has to enforce it. So we can't just do what we say, we have to go through you guys who approve it, and then we do it. That's not that easy. And I think the building department does a magnificent job of doing so. Okay?
Any other public comment?
Sullivan just reminded me about something. We have been forced, planning board has been, not forced, something's presented to us, a request for an extension on the approval. And we're in a position where we almost have to grant it. So for these vacant lots now that we're not receiving any tax monies on, we are approving them to encourage this developer to come forth in the next 6 or 12 months, we hope. So if there was a law on your books that identified that these approvals get 24 months to break ground, anything further, there is a fee assigned. We would extend the approval, providing that they pay this fee to the village. And I don't know what that fee represents, you know. And I know about COVID, and I know about the interest rates and everything, but we gotta stop pushing the ball down the street, okay?
Oh, okay, well, don't leave now, I need you up here, because you are a member of the planning board, and now that you just said what you said.
No, I'm not here.
Well, you said it, so you're gonna get a little push, just a touch pushback.
You always carry
Respectfully.
that tag when you
Just
like
a
it or
touch,
not.
just a touch pushback respectfully. The planning board can determine if they want to give that particular individual an extension of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. That has nothing to do with me. That's number one. Number two, they're building a hotel right now. Go on 17. Go off of Route 6. They're building it. It's right there. Not you, the planning board, the zoning board, and all those folks need to stop making excuses for these people. Other hotels have gone up since COVID. It's enough already. I've had 2 meetings with that individual, and I said, I gotta appreciate, this is the 14th set of slides I've seen. Everything looks fantastic. It's Disneyland. Put something on the ground.
No, I understand, and we appreciate that also, Mr. Sullivan, but we also know that to reject it would require probably at least $100,000, possibly $200,000 of a new application, and drawings and modifications.
I understand that.
Hold on, let me finish. So we're trying to compromise here, and if there was a law that identified that, yes, an extension of 6 months represents a $10,000 fee to the village, it would be easier for us to extend that at least once or twice and then say no. But at this point,
I don't issue the permit, so I don't know that I could even collect the fee.
if you make it a law, I mean, you should talk to council. If you make it a law,
Yeah, it's a
Mr.
combined
Tilo-
service. so-
Mr. Tilo, while you're here, please.
Wait, let's just see if the, never mind.
go ahead.
So while you're here, how often do they have to come for an extension?
Once a year.
Once a year or twice a year?
Once a year.
Are you sure?
I'm not 1,000% sure if you're questioning it.
Okay, all right. Because I recall back when the village had its own planning board, it came every 6 months. And the reason it was every 6 months was you got to see that person's face. And they had to come before you and give their reason why. And it didn't fall in the cracks for a project that sets for 5 years, and who knows if it's 1 year or 2 years, that they only have to come before you and say, oh, we don't have enough. So my opinion would be, they need to come back every 6 months. Is that gonna make your docket more? Absolutely. But at least you get to see that person. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You can get a reapproval at 6 months, and then an extension at 1 year, and that can be done in one meeting. Many other municipalities do that. So maybe we need to work together with the planning board and change, because I believe it's 2 years that they have to come back. But I could be wrong.
Okay.
But we need to look at that, and if it's every 2 years, that needs to change.
Okay, I'll talk to Eugene. Mr. Sullivan probably knows the answer to that.
Okay. Any more public comment? And I'm thinking before we go, we should probably do our liaison reports. That way, the folks that are here can hear before we go to executive session, because I would imagine we go to
Thank you,
executive
everybody,
session.
thank you.
So, Trustee Olivia, you want to do your liaison report?
Good evening, everyone. I did want to begin tonight with just giving a thank you to the public. I feel like I signed up for school. I am up here doing research, field studies, reports, and presentations, and I am still figuring out the best way to get organized. So I would like to thank you all for bearing with me while I made my way here. There is a lot that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot that happens outside of me and what I see or have a say on, and I do still have a lot to learn, so thank you for your patience and not being too hard on me while I figure some things out. Tonight I do need to give an update because I have had a lot of people ask me an update on the trash. I honestly could go the rest of my life and not talk about trash, and that would be great, but here we are. I have sent several emails to sanitation. I was not able to line up a meeting. I had a discussion with the mayor. We decided we should have a meeting together, sent a couple more emails, had the clerk call, and what I finally got back was, I can meet you in a month and a half. So that's what I'm working with. It's been complicated to even just get to a discussion table. So I would like to just, for everyone, I hope they understand, we do have a lot of residents right now that are violating the rules that have been set for waste collection. The town has sanitation regulations. The village also has regulations within the code, rules to follow for trash collection. They are very similar. I will spare you tonight and not read them here, but that may be in the future if we don't get a hold of the issue. At any rate, sanitation went from picking up just about anything that was put out, keeping the village clean, to not really picking up anything that wasn't inside your can or called in for ahead of time in efforts to enforce these regulations. However, neither scenario is the right one. Leaving excessive trash out on the curb leaves an unsafe and unhealthy living conditions. But also picking up everything that some people very sloppily put out is really not acceptable for our crew to have to clean up. I have put a lot of thought into a solution, just obviously no firm stance on this. I'm throwing it out there that I believe that sanitation themselves would be more effective if they had an enforcement procedure that they were able to utilize. They are the ones that do see and stop at every house anyway. And they do have the authority to leave and have notes of, I'm not picking up your trash for whatever reason, of whatever violation you may have. So if we use the Amazon method of taking a photo of the violation, leaving a notice, take the trash, and then send a bill, I think that that would give us some level of remedy for the situation. Obviously, leave a one-time warning fee and a one-time warning, and then we follow up with a fee. The sanitation does charge for some things as it is, so they do have a billing system already, and it does read in the town code, chapter 160, subsection 21 in solid waste, It says the town board may by resolution establish fees for the municipal collection of trash and recyclables placed for curbside pickup in a manner which does not comply with the rules and regulations. So I believe the ability to implement a fee for those who are not following the rules is there. I'm sure I'll get a little bit of backlash from the employees as I don't have time or that shouldn't be part of my duties. But I would say that you shouldn't have to be dealing with some of the atrocities that are left out for you either. And I can't imagine that we would have to enforce anything heavily for a long period of time before gaining some compliance. Previously, this has been pushed to code enforcement, but leaving a trash violation, it is time sensitive. To be handled through the building department is just not the most feasible route, so I do believe implementing a fee policy through sanitation would be more effective. We did have a significant offender who did not get picked up for 8 weeks because they were not following the rules. Now, excessive trash piled up gets baked in the sun, soaked in the rain, stinking up the whole area, and blocking up the sidewalk on top of that. Finally, we sent out DPW to clean it up. I'm grateful, thank you, but it's not really something DPW should be doing. It also has been discussed before that the police should be helping to write code enforcement tickets. It is absolutely written in the code that police can enforce code violations. But also without insulting anyone, it does need to be said that the community is calling for more action from our police department for police matters. The excessive speeding, the parking the wrong way on the grass, in a no parking zone, the loud music from vehicles, house parties at all hours of the night, random animals. There are clear violations even being made sometimes right in front of an officer with no action being taken. And obviously, you're not going to catch everything all of the time, but a lot of these things are clearly getting out of hand. At the last meeting, I did give to the chief and the board some information on the PRE program that is through the DMV directly. The acronym stands for Parking Regulation Electronic Enforcement and Disposition System. An application has been submitted, and hopefully we'll hear back on that, and our parking tickets will have more of a backbone. Everyone wants to live in a safe and healthy community, and we all have to work together to achieve that. And so many people are focused on reviving Main Street and our business district, which is great and really imperative to our survival here. We all need places to shop, places to eat, but maybe not the most common thought is how our residential areas appear to our visitors. We want to draw in not only big investors, but entrepreneurs and local family businesses. And we're going to need people to work all of these establishments, and they will not last if our living quarters are chaotic and in constant disarray. It's just not an inviting environment. So something to think about and circle back to. Some village happenings. There are a lot of really wonderful things actually that go on in the community. One of my favorite things recently, my husband and I walk as much as we can every day, and we've been out and around Road Park. And since the fishing derby, I've seen at least 5 or 6 kids out around Road Pond with brand new poles and tackle boxes and using their 5-gallon white buckets. Talk about the gift that keeps on giving. That's been a lot of fun to see. I did miss the Juneteenth celebration, but I got to see a lot of pictures and heard wonderful things about the event, so I'd like to just say bravo to our town councilman Tyrone King, who spearheaded the event. Keep up the good work on that. And he and I have been collaborating on Fridays down at the library for an adult coloring class. It is geared towards the elderly community, but is open to anyone who's interested, and we've even had some younger teenagers with us, so it's really been a great time. Great conversation, good company, and we will be resuming for another 4 weeks beginning July 11th, and that'll go through the 18th, the 25th, and through to August 1st, and that's Fridays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the library. Councilman King provides a lovely spread for lunch, so please consider coming in to join us. The library also has begun their summer reading program. They offer book clubs, and they do mahjong every Tuesday at 1:30. I need to make a point to get into that. I wanted to learn how to play. So if you're looking for something to do this summer, get out of the house, but stay out of the heat, check out your local library. I did briefly attend Family Fun Day, put on by United Youth, as well as the Hope Rocks event, which was very successful, I would say, despite the heat. The Hudson Valley Welcome, again, I did not stay long, but I was able to get a look, and it was packed with vendors, and the raffle station was really impressive. So I hope that that was helpful for the Connect program. And the Developers Conference that was hosted by AOG, it actually was very interesting. We had a lot of big players all in the same room. And Erin, the representative for AOG, she presented some digital renderings of what the properties that AOG has purchased may look like. So we'll see what kind of feedback comes in from that. And I also want to state that the Chamber is looking for officers for the Chamber of Commerce. If you'd like to be a part of supporting local businesses, please contact Eva Reno. And Chamber's next meeting is July 16th at 6 p.m. at Bear Mountain Pizza. And I would like to give another thank you to the Chamber. They were a very big part of putting together all of our 4th of July festivities. And again, those just turned out wonderful. It's a good community week, really, that goes on for the 4th of July. So that's been a lot of fun. The Ari's Elixirs is doing a pop-up ribbon cutting, relaunching of her business. And that is Sunday at, what is the location? It's the flower shop, the old flower shop at Dee Dee's location.
I'll even go back deep with Dyros.
There you go. And that is on, I believe it is this Sunday.
2 o'clock.
Yes.
2 o'clock this Sunday is the pop-up for Ari's Elixirs relaunching. So if you can get out to check that out, please do so. And lastly, I will read here the June's report for the building department. 15 permit applications were received, 13 permits were issued, 8 certificates of compliance, 2 certificates of occupancy, 38 building permit inspections, 0 fire safety inspections, 24 violation notices were issued, 7 violations were closed out, 11 municipal searches were completed, 1 planning board application was received, and 6 FOIL requests were received. And that's it for me today.
Trustee Ramos.
All right, so down at the sewer plant, in June, we did a treatment of the wastewater flow of approximately 825,000 gallons a day. That's a lot. But we did have 3.2 inches of rain. You're going to hear probably that our average water treatment up at the water plant was only 600,000 gallons a day. Now, that's a big difference. So we know there's a lot of I&I out there. We're working on trying to find out where that is. But again, I'll say it until I can't say it anymore. Anybody that is pumping their sump pumps into our sewer system, that's causing us to treat more wastewater going out, and it's costing us money on chemicals down there. We hauled out 75,000 gallons of sludge from the thickener. They are working on the sludge transfer pumps. They have been mounted. We got some custom fittings because of the plant, the way it's laid out down there. But that's all in the works. They continue to do maintenance on the equipment, pump station checks, and every week they do process samples for the DEC, and they send them out. That's going on down there, plus a lot of other things. Again, the plant is being run very efficiently. I appreciate all the guys that are down there. Anytime I stop down, probably once, twice a week, they always take time out of the day to show me what's going on. And I'm proud of what they're doing down there. It was noted earlier that garbage is getting in the sewer system. Garbage doesn't get in the sewer system. The sewer system is a closed system. Garbage is getting in the drainage system, that goes to the river. That's a problem, because we're only polluting our waterways. So, yes, I agree the garbage needs to be addressed, but it's not getting into the sewer system and it's not causing a problem at the sewer plant. There's other things down there. They said after the 4th of July there was a lot of corn that I noticed, but that happens around 4th of July. It's corn season. But it's just the things you see when you're down there, you know, Rich.
He spends too much time with the sewer plant, just like that.
He's a good liaison.
So there are a couple other things I did speak with our engineer about. There's WQIP, it's a water quality infrastructure program that's out there. There are grants out there. They are due by July 31st. Hopefully we might be able to get some of those to help offset some of the costs for our water infrastructure projects. Coloring class, can I just touch on that real quick? So at the planning board meeting, they have all of these plans that are required that they have to give in, but then they don't do anything. So my suggestion was to take some of these plans and maybe give them to the coloring class. And now, having an epiphany even beyond that would be, this is going to get the residents who are at the coloring classes understand the possible projects that are coming up. Maybe they might be able to color in some nice ideas on it as well.
I like it.
Right. Again, Ari's Elixir, thank you for mentioning that, and being that it's on Sunday, the farmer's market's going well. Right after you visit the farmer's market, you can head on down to the ribbon cutting process. That's what I got for today, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Gaju, Trustee Carroll, sorry.
Okay, the daily water flow average for the facility between the week of 6/28 and 7/4 was 600, like Jimmy said. That was the daily average water storage tank was at 28.9. Those are both very good. They had on the 29th, the alarm went off, and they had to have an operator come in at 3 o'clock in the morning and adjust the chemicals and monitor the operation due to water turbidity. The upper bob valve was opened. Reservoir is at 95%. That just increased the water flow into the Pilot Brook. They did a generated UD ticket at 7 locusts to excavate the third box. That'll be done this week coming up. And the next 2 days were very normal. What they have for outstanding issues, concerns, is pressure reducing valve downstream from the storage tank was delivered, TAM to install the week of July 7th. The in-house water pump has been ordered. Upper bog, like I said, was at 95%, and the other 3 reservoirs were all, the flow was good. It was all consistent. The weeks ahead, received an additional proposal to update main control panel, PLC. Need to compare equipment between the 2 proposals. Second, received price and availability for the backwash pump. We'll order when approved. Okay, that was all from the water department, and like Jimmy said, they're really doing a fine job. Thank you.
Trustee Gaju.
Yes, the DPW report, there were just a couple of things that I wanted to mention because some things were mentioned on Dr. Facebook. There were 6 dead trees removed from Main Street because they had black knot, and they were replaced with dogwoods pretty quickly. The same trees, I believe, were in front of the grocery store that had black knot, and those new fellows, I think the mayor had asked them if they could remove them, and they did. They were pretty receptive to that. To that end, they're a new business. It's a new market, and again, people are very quick to judge something that's new. It'd be so much more proactive to get onto Facebook and say, hey, I talked to the new guys and this is what their plan is. So I did go down and I talked to them, and they are aware of their prices, they're aware of their quality of food, they're talking to their distributors, they're talking directly to distributors, Tropicana and such, to keep their pricing down on deliveries, to bring quality products back to the neighborhood. It will be a C-Town chain. They're anticipating opening Labor Day. And they have a lot of nice plans, and they're always on site, and they are super receptive. So any new business, I just want to kind of implore people to go down and talk to people. Just say, hey, what's going on? Park Restaurant, great. It's not the old Park Restaurant. It's keeping the same name, but they're doing new things, and they're doing great things. So I suggest anything, the Elixirs, go in, have talks with people. The other thing majorly that I want to talk about on the DPW was repairs to the bathrooms at Roe Park. I don't know what's going on there, but it takes some critical thinking from these kids, and they should be scientists or geometry majors sometimes. If we can just keep an eye on our kids when they're down there, because these guys do a lot of hard work, and they always have to kind of circle back to get that done. The other thing is the speed bumps. We placed one, we put one more on Hickory Street. Again, complaints about that. They're not, listen, they're a start. They're not great. I don't really even believe they're the ones that the mayor wanted initially. Some are short, but we're working on it. We're trying to be very proactive along with the police on speeding and school zones and things like that. Just on a short note, I am happy to see that the village and the town are really working together to satisfy the needs of our entire community. And as a board, we're really trying to work together, maybe with different goals, but to the same objective, to bring the community together. I do want to give a special thanks to Supervisor Livesey. I brought up an issue about senior swim and some of our seniors not being able to get there, and he immediately jumped on that. And he represented our dial-a-bus to take them. Just as a reminder, senior swim is every evening, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 5 to 4:45. Then the dial bus, 24 hours in advance, they can call and they can get there. I know a couple of the ladies have done it so far. With that, Century Swim is on Wednesday nights, 5 to 5:45, and Saturday mornings, 11 to 11:45. And that's for families with kids with special needs and sensory issues. It's for preschool kids come. And that's a nice program. To jump off 4th of July, I do have to echo that it was a wonderful event. And I do thank our DPW, our first responders, donators, the 5K run, and parade participants. With another special shout out to the AOG and their generous donation to our celebration as they celebrated their 250th birthday of the U.S. Army, and happy birthday to them. And I thank them all for their service. We do look forward to celebrating our 120th next year in Highland Falls, all as a team. And just as always, I do want to thank our town and village employees and first responders for all they do to keep us going 365, 24/7. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, real quick. Highland Falls Police Department monthly report for June 2025. I'm going to do this a little slow, just so we can absorb the numbers. Total calls for the month of June, 834. That's an average of 27.8 a day, or 1.16 per hour. Just to put it in perspective. 10 arrests, 81 summonses issued, of which 50 were traffic. Believe me, they are cracking down on speed, okay? It was probably one of my first, if not second orders, not order, but I'm going to say decree, because it sounds a little more royal-like. It was one of my first decrees to say, we got to watch speed, okay? The speed bumps are not the main way to slow people down. We got those particular speed bumps because they work, but they also don't rip your car apart, because that's one of the big complaints. Someone goes over a speed bump, rips their car apart, they're in here telling me I got to pay for new tires. So we got that particular speed bump because it's low level. It still slows you down. People are complaining about them on the roads because they have to slow down, which is what they're there for. So they're going to work. Unfortunately, we order 3 at a time, and we've ordered, I think, we're on our 3rd set of 3. So we are putting them up. When they come in, the one on Hickory will be removed, and the new one will be put down. I have a couple other streets that folks have reached out to me. All of it's been positive, so I appreciate that. Meter collections were $1,909. Village ticket fees were $715, and $16 for report. Total mileage was almost 7,100. and 469 gallons of gas were used. Couple things. 4th of July. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to the ad hoc committee. Thank you to the previous mayor. Thank you to the chamber. Thank you to the DPW. Thank you to the PD. Thank you to the sheriff's office, who sent down 5 deputies and 1 sergeant. The sergeant that they sent down has been coming here for 18 years, puts in for it every year. The Highland Falls Fire Department, the Fort Montgomery Fire Department. Thankfully, we did the fireworks, we didn't have any major issues. Perfect. And some individuals that helped out. Absolutely the donors, which we'll have a full list to get to the paper. Probably not this week, but definitely next week. Some of them are sitting in this room. We appreciate you very, 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 very much. As seen on Facebook, not everything's fake on Facebook, I was able to court the county executive into grabbing a slice the other day as he was zipping through town. And we had a good discussion about Main Street. We talked about commercial zoning. We talked about commercial development. We talked about a lot of different things. His comment to me was, whatever you need. So I really appreciate our short, brief meeting. He insisted on taking a picture and putting it on Facebook. I don't know why. I'm not really a big Facebook fan. Never on there. But he did want to have a slice, so we had a slice at West Point Pizza, which we thank them very much. It was actually a very good slice. I did have a good meeting with, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna call it the Green Committee, because that's just what I'm used to. Not as it's the local environmental assessment committee. And we had a good conversation with Olga. We talked about a couple different things, some grants that we'll eventually talk about later in the year that we don't want to talk about quite yet. We talked about the potential that I put in, not I, but the company we have, Millennium, to put in for some grants for some more car chargers. And I also looked into putting in a grant for a green pickup truck that would run on electric, which I thought was pretty cool. So that was a good meeting. Thank you for your time, and thank you for coming in. The paving in Ondeora, I have an update this Thursday because we had the holiday. But I was told that the surveys were almost complete and that they were eventually going to be putting gas lines in. So as soon as I get something different, I'll let you know. If they're not, we'll work on getting it paved this year. The only thing that's scheduled to get paved right now would probably be Mearns Avenue we're moving forward on. That is a FEMA project and it needs to get paved. Garbage. I want to thank the sanitation department, and I think the board appreciates every single thing they do. My big problem is residents not calling to get on the bulk pickup list. I have not figured out what to do yet. It's going to probably be a coalition, like we were storming Normandy, because it's the same houses, and they don't. I know they're not calling. They're not even bothered to put a smoke flare up. I mean, they're just dumping their entire contents out on the road. I got it on Old State Road. I have it on repeat offenders, Old State Road, Cooks Lane, repeat offenders on Cooks Lane, Center Street, repeat offenders, constantly. Other streets, entire home contents being emptied out onto the sidewalk. Now, maybe we get it right, knock on the right door, and we ask, and they say, yeah, that was me. I mean, most people admit when they do something wrong anyway. I mean, if they did, we wouldn't even need a PD. So we're going to figure it out, but it's been awful. And some days I can't take it, and I call the DPW, and they graciously find some time and go do it when they're not working on, whatever they're working on. So it's not a criticism of any department. It's just education. And so we're going to come up with something. The Brain Trust is, which some of the folks up here, all of you guys, and we're going to come up with something, a way to get creative on how to stop that, because it's driving me absolutely crazy, as I know it is some of the trustees. Hotel tax. The town is moving forward with a hotel tax. They're in the infant process of getting it carried, I believe, they have to get it carried for both the Assembly and the Senate. We had that done a while ago, so we just offered to get an extension. As soon as they get to the same point that we are at, we're going to probably do it parallel. That's my goal, that's my intention. I think it's a good thing. I think anywhere you go travel, it's expected you pay it, no questions asked, no questions asked. And if some of my heavy dreamers decide to eventually build their hotel or motel, it'll help benefit and offset the taxpayers that we continually hit over the head to do infrastructure, to cover departments, and so on and so forth. So I think it's a good idea, and I think we're gonna move forward on it. I think we're gonna do it in conjunction with the town. It's a good way to do something together. So I appreciate that. And I've been in contact with the supervisor and actually Councilman Sullivan on this. Whiskey Crossing, which was scheduled to be Wednesday, this last week Thursday. Thursday, we had that little microburst, and it was really weird. So I was down there, and I said, you know, it's not really that bad, and maybe we'll keep playing, and then a bolt of lightning went down. I said, maybe we'll just wrap it up. So August 22nd is the tentative next date. We're gonna have them come to the Roe Park. We're gonna maybe get a couple food trucks, make a nice little event at Roe Park. I think the board would like that. And I think we'll see if we can sponsor it as the village or whatever. We'll talk about it. I mean, they are paid. They don't want any more additional money. Part of the contract is they get paid. So they got the check, but they said they wanted to come back, and they gave me that date. So I thought that was good. The Highland Falls Fire Department training, hydrant training. So as I said a couple meetings ago, before we did the last flush, the Highland Falls Fire Department wanted to do a special training with a new piece of equipment they got. And that was the reason why we generated and did the second flush so soon, one of the reasons. So unfortunately, the day that they had the training, they called man up, so they didn't have enough to do the training with this particular piece of equipment. So they didn't do the training. They're in the process of rescheduling. I'll come back to the board. I did say okay last time, and we'll see what they work on their schedule. And I'm sure it'll be fine. It's an important piece that they need to be trained on. So I don't want to say no. If any of you guys want to say no, that's on you. Message board. Literally was looking at it before I came here. We have $14,000 left in the grant, so that was on Main Street. I'm in the process of getting data for the board, square footage of the screen. That wasn't funny at all. Square footage of the screen. The goal is to put it on Main Street because it's a Main Street grant. So I was thinking, or the best place, the original thought when we did the grant was literally where the old school sign, right across from the Sacred Heart Rectory. You go right across the street, before you get in the parking lot, there was an old sign there that said school speed limit, and it would blink. That sign is gone, but there's power there. So I'm thinking concrete pad, screen, might look good. We're gonna come up with some stuff. You guys, we're gonna look at it as a board, and we'll make a decision. But the grant money's there. I think it'll be fantastic. New York Forward. I'm not going to go into all of it because it's late, but there's a lot to do with New York Forward. A lot to do with New York Forward. I sat through a meeting and took vivid notes, feverish notes, and I could probably just talk about it for one meeting. The good thing is it's moving forward. It's a snail's pace. The next real big thing for us is we'll have to hire someone to manage it. They give us a list of people to do that with. It's not something we put out for. So it's going to be in depth, but we'll talk about it again. Matter of fact, I think what we might do is just have a small meeting on New York Forward. So I'll get the folks down here from Albany, and we'll just have a meeting on that. I think it'll be good. Commercial space that was referred to on this end of town. Most of the abandoned commercial space on this end of town is abandoned for the reason of the property owner. Every time. In most all cases. So if it's a vacant store, like the building right across the street from Lady Cliff Park, there's a vacant store in there because they use it for storage. The previous wine and liquor store was vacant because they just use it for storage. So the current Shades is, I believe, being remodeled for another store. So the abandoned commercial space is not abandoned because there's not a store in there. It's usually 85 to 95% of the time the property owner's decision to keep it abandoned for whatever reason. Maybe it's a special tax reason. Maybe they can claim this on there. I don't know. That's not me. I don't know that part. But I wouldn't take away from what is open on Main Street. Signage. Mr. Tito mentioned signage. In the New York Forward grant, it's either $400,000 or $600,000. Let's go with $500,000. There's at least $500,000 that's just for signage. we're gonna have so much nice, new, modern signage that if you don't know what's going on here or how to get to this community, you shouldn't be driving. So, the signage will come. Real quick on zoning, and I'm sorry, I don't wanna ramble, but these things need to be addressed. B2, B3. When we roll out the red carpet for this hotel that we all can see, but not here, we changed the zone. We created a B3. We rolled out the red carpet for that individual. We created a whole other district, B3. We had all of Main Street too, from Thayer all the way to the church. All different districts, it included everything. And what happened? We had residents come here who were unhappy. Some of them are friends of the members of the board. We had to change this, it wasn't working, it didn't go right, please put it back, do this, do that. And what did the board do? We did it. Now, it took us 18 months because if you don't forget, 18 months from today, and I don't want to scare anybody, we were in a flood. So that's why it took 18 months to do the zoning change. We had a flood, a catastrophic flood. So in all things equal, in hindsight, I think 18 months isn't bad when you have $25 million worth of damage in a small community like ours. We can look at it again, we can address it again, but I think the board needs to stop changing a zone every time we get a new developer. Residential zones, don't come in my neck of the woods to change the residential zone. Laurel Lane is nice. You wanna go to your neck of the woods, bring it up to 10, knock on 10 doors in your area and ask them if you wanna have, go from single family homes to 2 or 3 family homes. If you can get 10 signatures on your street, we'll talk about it. Go to Cragston and Dry, go to Laurel Lane and Sadley Grove and Ondera Park. If you can get people to sign off on it, bring it to the board, we'll talk about it. I can't wait to hear. 52 West Street, it's the beginning, it's the same situation as Mountain Avenue. I think it's the same house, it's abandoned. Is that the same one?
52 West?
Is it 52 West?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 52 West is the next house. We're starting the process. That house has been vacant. When we were on the campaign trail, that's all we heard about was on that West Street was that house. So that's the next house that's coming down. We are moving forward. And I'm not plugging you again, Rich, I know, but you're here. We talk, Rich and I talk. Sometimes his emails are much longer than mine. I don't do well with long emails, the clerk knows that. But I get through Mr. Sullivan's emails and we discuss it. And that 52 West will be the next house that comes down. Believe me, I'd like someone to buy it, but because of the situation, it's a disaster. Half of it's falling down the hill. So we are moving forward and getting it done. That's the important part. And lastly, I'll just comment on the Developers Conference. The Developers Conference was fantastic. I did not go up to the AOG initial meeting because I felt there was enough political elbows up there that I didn't need to be there. The more popular, big shots were up there, so that's fine. I don't know about more popular, but the bigger shots were up there. So I met each section at the Park Restaurant, and the conversation was fantastic. As I mentioned before, I think something's going to happen. I don't know what. I'm not going to try to, snare everybody in a vision of grandeur, but I felt good. The conversations were good. I got a lot of questions back. They were drilling me, which I thought was pretty good. And the conversation was very, very well. So again, I appreciate good conversation. We all do. But as Mr. Leo tells me, fix the damn thing. So we need to have something. I need to see something besides talk and pictures because I can't see them anymore. So that was kind of my comments to them and comments to the board. And they know where I'm at for right now. And I'm sorry I'm going on and on, but I wanted to address as much of that came up tonight. We do have to go into executive session for an employee and personnel matter. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.